disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing.
Lobito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right. Welcome everybody to another BD Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. Yeah, it's your good friend Mr. BDA flying so. No, actually, I got Gonzalo and Jimmy joining us here, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Listen, before we start, man, we had a lot of things going on here. A lot of things last night. Big fights, big upsets, a little bit of everything for everybody. So we're gonna get down right to it. You know what it means. You know what happened. We're gonna explore every avenue of what occurred last night. We're gonna take a couple of phone calls, maybe half an hour into the show, about 45 minutes. But before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you got a couple of shekels you want to donate our way, you can certainly do so with the super chat. You can also join the BDA membership program where you get special emojis, badges. You get some film analysis as well in there. But the most important thing, fellas, the most important thing is that you continue to like and subscribe and spread the BDA gospel. That's the most important thing. We always appreciate your support when it comes to spreading the word in the community. Speaking of support, shout out to Generic Villa fan who donated the super chat. Says fixed fight. Well, which one are you referring to? Are you referring to Figueroa versus Fulton? Or anyway, we'll get to it. But shout out to Generic Villa fan. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Yeti, Oscar Pring Boateng, Ignacio Juarez, Eperocua, Johnny Blaze, Jay Perez, Triple JJJ, Andres Hernandez, Mr. Straight 50, Openda Gates. Hold on a second. Who else we got here? Not Brandon Blanco, Kappa Joe, Kevin Jones, C. Lion, Norman Luis, Johnny Blaze, Uncle Bart Apostrophe, Virtuoso. Shout out to Norman Luis, Endgame. Shout out to Endgame. Shout out to GB Guthrie. Says salute to Pulev for literally getting off the couch for a quick pity. Yeah, he was in some sort of hybrid, MMA boxing hybrid over there. I think it was in the United States or something. He knocked out Frank Mir. So good for Pulev, man. Shout out to Mojo Risen, Tony Guapo, and many more people to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Wow. All right, so let's get down to it, fellas. Thank you for joining us. I'm talking to Jimmy and Gonzalo here. Hopefully more people show up as well. But we got enough to cook with oil here. Let me tell you that much right now. Guys, it's the year of the upset. I mean, there's no ifs and buts about it anymore, right?
No, definitely not. That this is the fight. This was the upset of the year.
Oh, easily. I mean, does anybody know anyone who picked this Australian, to beat him?
Well, I'll give props to front runner Vlad. I think it's his name. I can't look it up right now, but in the Discord, he was saying before the week of the fight, he said, I'm going to place a bet, he said, Kambosos by knockout. Then he switched it up and he placed a bet for decision. But I do think he placed a bet on Kambosos to win. And I believe he made a substantial amount of money on that. I mean, look, some of us thought that Kambosos was going to give him a harder fight than expected. But when he got dropped in that 10th round or 9th round, whichever one it was, I said, well, it's over. Like, he gave it his all, but he just... Because you could tell he was... Before the knockdown, he was starting to get worn down a little bit with jabs. and then he gets up and boom, gets a second wind and gives it right back to Teofimo Lopez. I mean, let's really take a look at it. We had Warrington losing, Lara beating Warrington. We had Zandor Martin beating Mikey Garcia. What's the other? I think this is the biggest upset, man. It's gotta be. Well, let's start with.
A lot of people said Usyk was an upset beating Joshua because Joshua was favored, but not on this show. But as a whole, that is by because I mean you think about it. I mean, in one calendar year, this kid went from contender to kind of just half a belt shy away from the undisputed lightweight champion, beating a lot of people's pound for pound best fighter. The world was an oyster, right? He was demanding $6 million pay-per-view and yada, yada, yada. All that bullshit drags on. And then bang, loses his shit on the first title defense against a mandatory unknown from Australia. No offense to the Australians who know of this kid, but stateside, this kid was virtual and unknown. Personally, I don't think he ever comes back from this. He will never be the same fighter again. He just won't. He's too emotional. Obviously, the kid ran back in the ring to embarrass himself last night. He embarrassed himself. When you have a partisan crowd, I mean a strong partisan crowd, clapping and Tio, and they're fucking booing you because you're jumping a shark with some ridiculous stuff. Wellness, I want 10. It's like, okay, were you just talking to your father back there? Like he's an emotional kid. I was shocked the way he came out, like a fucking tough man competition. Like he was just going on, like he had such little respect for this kid Kambosos. Like did somebody say, hey, this kid Kambosos never took boxing before? He went out like it was a street fight. It was just shocking the way he telegraphed his punches, the way he lunged. It was. Well, by the third round, I'm like, I hope this kid beats him. Anyways, go BDA.
Certain aspects of his game were amateurish, but he did land some good straight rights. He was feinting. He was switching it up, hitting him with the lead left hooks and then straight right. So I wouldn't say he was completely amateurish, but I get what you're saying. When he started trading with him, that's when he's whatever semblance.
Yeah, but in the first couple of rounds, he wasn't doing that. He was telegraphing. He was loading up, and then he was throwing everything the same speed. And even if you hit real hard, if you throw everything the same speed, believe it or not, your body gets used to it, kind of. And what do they always say, right? I'm sick of, what I mean? I always repeat the same garbage. The punch that hurts you don't see coming. You don't see punches coming that aren't loaded up on. Mm-hmm. So even if that extra half a split second that Kambosos was able to see him load up the way he was loading up, gave him a chance just to roll with the punch just enough that he wasn't catching him totally flush, although he did in the 10th. And the kid Kambosos, too, hey, kid's got nuts, right? The kid's a tough kid. He came to fight. But did you see Lopez's face? Oh, his face. Yeah. I think he broke his nose. He fucked him up. He was catching. There was no defense. Like to such a degree, the way you can tell Lopez went into fighting Lomachenko like this is the best fight in the world. He tried to do everything he could. Just the sharpness of his punches, the doubling up, the feint. He would feint and then throw a punch. He just walked in like, I'm going to rip through this little kid and, I'm going to knock you out in the first round, like he said, and then once he got in his own head, once he was dropped, but you see what I mean by emotional? Mm-hmm. That one drop did him in. When he got dropped, he was like, what the fuck? That really affected him. Like, that's what I mean. He's an emotional kid. He runs by his emotions, and losing his confidence is shook. And I'll be now. Can I say another thing that will piss off his friends? I hope Kambosos tells him to go fuck himself if he asks for a rematch. I hope Kambosos goes, fuck you. Why? Why do I need you? I hope he fights Lomachenko. I hope he fights anybody, even Haney, before he fights fucking Lopez. He needs a big dose of his own medicine.
Kambosos was a class act.
His own fault.
Kambosos was a class act after the fight. He says, hey, listen, you lost, take like a champ, and let's do it in Australia. But go ahead, Gonzalo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
but he didn't answer.
One of those guys. He's one of those guys that you didn't know how good he was until you did. It's like we can't say that he wasn't a good fighter, but how many of us really went back and saw some of his fights or highlights before assessing this fight. No, we just thought Teofimo was the guy, the power puncher. He's good, but guess what? He hasn't fought in 9 months. He's a counter puncher that relies on speed. And if you're not able to clip the guy early, like you said, what did he show? He showed some frustration. And, he probably doesn't have that solid of a chin. So there's been a lot of world champions throughout the years that are good fighters, but they probably won't be great. Like, for example, Terry Norris was a power puncher. He couldn't take a shot. Julian Jackson was like one of the greatest knockouts. He was one of the greatest punchers of all time, but he couldn't really take a shot. Teofimo just started his career. He's got power, but now we're seeing that he can't take a shot. So he's kind of like, he might show up, and sometimes he might not. We can't invest saying that this guy is like a great fighter, because all of a sudden he can do good, but then next thing you know, he can get clipped and can get knocked out. He went the distance against a smaller fighter in Kambosos that looks to be good. But what is with Teofimo going forward? Can he take the punch of a 140-pounder?
That's a great point, man. And before we continue, fellas, just shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. He says Lopez dipped into that left hook all night and 8 right hands because his lead arm is down. Lopez needs to move up to 140 and get a real coach. All right, shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat, aka Undercover Asian. And real quick, shout out to Bad Girl TKO. Bad Girl TKO saying Kambosos worked the distance and angles, never stayed in one place. Lopez was off while on the stool. His eyes looked shifty, probably had anxiety. Yeah, first of all, okay, shout out to Bad Girl TKO for your contribution. Really appreciate it. What about that? She does mention that there was no stool. Was there no stool, or was he just standing up because he was anxious and he chose to stand up, or because he just preferred it? What was going on there with the no stool thing, like De La Hoya? Like old school De La Hoya with no stool.
Now, who's this? Lopez?
Lopez, yeah, he never sat down.
Well, he did. He eventually sat down. It wasn't the whole fight. Maybe in the beginning. But yeah, no, she made a great point. He was shook. That knockdown. What was that in the first round too? Was that in the first round?
First round, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whether it was a flash down or not, and then the advice is, what the fuck you doing? You're stronger than him. Like, just go out and fucking destroy him. Like, he was, like I tweeted out, I mean, I haven't heard that kind of fight instruction since I was in 7th grade recess. Like, that was just absurd. His father's clueless. He obviously just pumped his kid up with emotion. He's been able to get by with his quickness and his, but that's what happens, man. Just, you don't take this shit serious. He didn't take this kid serious. But I'll tell you, I know before I'm going to go crown at Kambosos, because I did go back and watch his fights. I still don't think the kid is that great. I think he put it all on the line and everything worked out. I think it was as much Tio's fault as what Kambosos did. And put it this way, I think if they would say his next fight was Lomachenko, I'd pick Loma wide. I think Loma would school him.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Let me ask you, based on what you just said, Jimmy. And by the way, fellas, we're going to be opening up the phone lines in about 30 minutes. Everybody in the chat, so stay tuned for that. But based on what you just said, Jimmy, because I was thinking, okay, because again, the word exposed get like, people like to throw it around. I try not to throw it around as much. But I started thinking, okay, let's say, was he exposed in the sense that he couldn't adapt and he couldn't really, because in the Lomachenko fight too, he didn't really adapt. He just fought harder in the 12th round when Loma was tired too, and that was why the round was closer. But he never. So I said, okay, maybe he got exposed. But then I said, nah, Kambosos had to fight at a full clip just to do what he was able to do, and he almost got taken out. But then I thought, third point, Lopez looked bigger than Kambosos, and he's looked bigger than most of his opponents since he turned pro. So, in a sense, would it be fair to say that he did get exposed because he was always the bigger guy? He has fast hands, bigger power, and yet he couldn't beat this guy.
Yeah, his boxing style predicates on catching and shooting, a counterpuncher. So basically, when you just learn how to catch and shoot, and you rely on your speed to catch the other dudes with your power, but that couldn't get the job done. Basically, he was exposed. Kind of like the Charlo with Castano. They're fighters that develop their boxing based on the catching and shooting, the counterpunching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's you made that point too, and we've talked about that too, about Lopez being a natural counterpuncher. He's not a chase you down type of guy. Jimmy, what do you think about? What do you think about that?
I just did the shoulder roll. That's what it was exposed, man. That position of I hate that. I hate that stance when people take that. I mean, all night he was catching that looping overhand right. That kid was smart in that sense that he was timing Lopez coming in, and he would just try to catch him with that looping right. You know what I mean? Throw that looping right because he comes in with his left hand down by his waist. You know, trying to shoulder roll people, and usually do that because you're bigger than people. You know, like Plant will do it because he was always taller than everybody. You don't usually see little guys doing that. You know, because if someone's tall, they come snap down on you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his style got exposed. I think if anything, it also lends credence to Lomachenko was obviously injured that night, or at least thought he was injured enough. He didn't want to put anything into the fight, into the first 6 rounds, and Lomachenko cost himself. Like I said, I wasn't. The night of Loma loss, I was like, wow, Loma gave this away. If he would have came out fighting the way he can right from the beginning, Lopez wouldn't have beat him. And I think that established that tonight. I mean, movement, if somebody can move on him and pick on him, try, I don't know. I don't know, exposed to, I know that is a strong word, but he's got a lot of flaws in his games. Again, 2 fights before Lomachenko, they were calling him he went from prospect to contender to almost unified world champion. You know, Lomachenko wasn't a big banger. Loma's going to beat you with volume, get you physically tired, overwhelms you with skill. He's not a big banger. So, you know, what is he going to do when he's up against kids if he goes up to fucking 140 and starts taking shots from those guys? That's a whole different world.
Kambosos, one thing that he did do good, he's got that fast twitch, whipping power. He was a smaller guy, yeah. Teofimo was also fast, but he's really like muscle bound. And those exchanges, Kambosos was getting there quicker. If you saw the shots that he was throwing, he wasn't necessarily throwing hard, but he was throwing fast. Yeah. And that whipping fucking power was bamboozling fucking Lopez.
Exactly. That's a great point. Yeah. Like Jimmy said, the punch you don't see coming is the one that hurts you.
Yep. And if you don't set it up with a double jab, I mean, it's just amazing. Like the double jab, like double it up, and then because you know what I mean. That's like the best fucking way to cover ground. Maybe went to the face, went to the body, or body face, and then you come in behind with the right, the punch you don't see coming. But when you sit there and you're waiting and you're just loading up, somebody like Kambosos, anybody's been fucking fighting since he was 4 years old, boxing, is going to see that coming. You know?
Yeah.
So.
It's a great point, Jimmy, man. That's true. Hold on. Let me just get these 2 super chats here. Shout out to Black Cat 997 for his contribution. Black Cat 997. He says, Lopez dad needs to go away. Also, is still having wife and money issues. That seems to be what the announcers were hinting at. Well, shout out to Black Cat for his contribution. And Jimmy, you wanted to jump in on that one?
Well, he said he was down to $20,000.
Whoa.
That's what he was down to, his personal funds. Like that's all the money he had left in the world. During the training camp, he said he spent $250,000 on his training camp, all this other stuff. But yeah, so he was kind of desperate for money. I would imagine $20,000. But in his going into the Lomachenko fight, actually wasn't even. It was going into the Comey fight. There was all the issues with his wife. Guess his wife doesn't get along with his father, which is not shocking. Does he seem like somebody who's easy to get along with? You know what I mean? Let's be honest, right? So, control freak, and he knows a wife is gonna have a lot of say in a husband's world. And right away, you could picture him. No, you don't tell him to do something. Like she might have simple things like, well, they're eating dinner. Oh, honey, oh no, he shouldn't be eating that. Like that'll set a wife off. Like, what do you mean? No, he can eat it. Like little things, and you're in the middle. So there's Tio, you know, and he's not the fucking brightest kid in the world. He's not going to articulate his feelings. So what do stupid people do when they get angry? They strike out. They lash out, either through fucking rage or violence, or just a number of ways. But his father's poison. That dude is poison. He's that fucking relative. What did somebody say? That relative that nobody tells about the family reunions.
Hey, that's me. No, I'm kidding. No, but you know what? Shout out to Get These Hands, who says this with the super chat. He says, "Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted." Matthew 23:12. That is one of the best quotes out there. I know Pacquiao has always thrown that one around for a long time, rather. And
Excellent.
It's true. He came in here thinking, hey, I just beat Lomachenko. And by the way, that disrespect he showed to Lomachenko, like you said, Jimmy, now it's coming to, because people said Lomachenko was disrespectful. They're saying, he walked out of the ring after the fight and then his team came up with the excuse. Man, this fucking Lopez, he got right to it during the interview. He jumps in during Kambosos' interviews. I won the fight 10 rounds to 2 or whatever he said. And then he says, I know how they do it. Like casting aspersions on the commission or on Eddie Hearn or whoever. I mean, it was very, I know fighters get hot under the collar after they lose, but man, that was classless. Let's just call it what it was.
Well, his zipperhead father, he won every fucking round. So it was like, what, the round he got dropped in? Yeah. So it's a combination. And now you can understand, their whole world is just collapsed. They have no belts. They've dropped down in the rankings because when you lose your first title defense, like everything. I think Mike Montero, I got to pull up his tweet, was great the way he phrased it. He's, in all his lifetime, he's never seen somebody fall so far, so fast. Like just boom. And there's going to be emotional and mental fucking problems coming out of that loss. And again, I know it sounds vindictive and mean and childish. Oh, well, I hope to God Kambosos tells him to pound sand. You ain't getting no fucking rematch. Does to him what he did to Loma. Because did you hear Kambosos say, I want to run it back? We'll run it back. Because anytime you take a champion's belt, and especially a split decision or a close one, I don't know where that fucking judge gave that fucking fight to Kambosos, to Lopez. No fucking way did he win that fight. But anyway, somebody was trying to give it to him. But okay, it's razor thin when you have a split decision. In time immemorial, out of respect, fuck the clause. Out of respect, give a champion another chance for his belts. It's what everybody's always done in boxing. And he's like, it was no rematch, fuck you. He had no intentions of fighting Lomachenko. None. So, Bafangu, I hope you fucking rot. Seriously.
This was a close fight, but I think the right man won.
Yeah, it was a very close fight. Yeah, Lopez was making it close later on, man. And there was that one round where he started jabbing Kambosos, and Kambosos couldn't get away from the jab. That's when I said, "Oh boy, this guy is losing steam."
What was he doing?
He was Lopez started throwing more jabs, and he was catching.
Thank you. You just said it right there. He started jabbing.
Yeah,
the most important punch you can do. When you come in from behind a jab, because remember, a jab's going to freeze somebody. They're either going to freeze where they're at, or they're going to make their move to get away from it. So when you're jabbing, you're seeing. It's like almost like it's leading somebody. Okay, so when he jabs, and then as you're throwing your jab, the person's either going to step to one side so you can follow it up. When you just load up and try to catch a professional boxer off a one-shot load up, it's almost impossible. And we saw that last night.
Hey, by the way, let me give a shout out to Matt Chad in the chat. Shout out to Matt Chad. Everybody go check out his channel. I was just there a couple of minutes ago. Shout out to Matt Chad. It's a very, I was going to say one of the best. It's hard to say the best because I don't really listen to all that many lately. But man, he knows his boxing, man, for sure. Matt Chad's a real.
What's it called?
Matt Chad. We've had him on. Yeah, we've had him on, and he's called a couple of times. Matt Chad boxing.
Yeah, but what? Matt as an MATT chat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
CHAT.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's my fucking accent. It's Mad as in Mad, M-A-D, and then Chad, boxing and sports. Shout out to Mad Chad, one of the best running actors.
Mad Chad.
And Bruce Ghost too. Bruce Ghost. Shout out to Bruce Ghost. I was listening to his show on Friday, I believe. Man, the collection he's got of magazines. Well, he didn't even show the whole thing. But go ahead, Gonzalo. Sorry.
This fight was good. I was entertained, and I was hoping to watch the Figueroa versus Fulton fight. But when this fight was playing out and I started watching it as the rounds went by, I was like, man, screw it. If I don't get to watch the other fight because I'm watching this one, this is enough for me. This will suffice because it was just that entertaining.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point, man. It's a good point. And listen, all these people that, because we were, again, with the Lopez Kambosos thing, Kambosos said, let's do it again. But now I read an article this morning where Lopez Sr. said, we don't need a rematch. We're moving up to 140. So it's either they can't make 135 anymore or they don't even want to deal with this guy anymore. And it made sense because they didn't want to deal with Loma anymore either. and that's a fight that he won. So I'm not. Are you guys surprised that he doesn't want to fight Kambosos again?
Well, no. Well, Kambosos even told him. Remember in the interview at the end? I mean, when they were in the ring, he's like, "Dude, you need to move up. You were weak."
Right.
This is what happens. Like people, they don't realize how. A lot of people don't realize how much. Because okay, think about this, guys. You know that kid's probably 155, 160 pounds with a six pack, like really lean. Like most guys are like, "Oh wow, I look awesome." So every pound he's taken off after that, he's eating muscle, right?
Jeez.
And when you get to a certain point, when you eat too much muscle, now you're going to start running into issues. You know, especially conditioning. It just sucks the life out of you.
Exactly.
But then now he goes up in weight. He's got to face bigger punchers, and he probably carry the weight, right? He'll probably carry the power. But I mean, he did get exposed in the sense that, you know how they say, well, the blueprint's out? It kind of is for his ass. Because if you can remain tough and go through like the first rounds without, getting hurt, later on, if you take him to deep waters, what is he going to do differently? Does he have a second gear? Yes, he started popping out that jab. But can he hang with these great fighters at 140?
Could go both ways, right? Could go both ways.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't drain himself and he actually gets a boost. Maybe he actually hits harder at 140, right?
And questions asked. Not only does he need to get rid of his father as the head trainer, I'd say, Dad, I love you, you're my dad, but you have nothing to do anymore with my career.
Oh,
like nothing. He needs to get rid of that dude. He's poison. Like just all the sideshow shit. Fuck you, my son's good. You got an MMA dude training you. He was yelling that shit during that fucking one of his meltdowns the other day before the fight, barking at fucking Kambosos people. Like he's a fucking knucklehead. And what does he really bring? I mean, he doesn't bring things to do. He was telling him the opposite to do. He was telling him, go in there, get fucking rid of him, destroy this guy. Like, no, he should have been, all right, dude, take a deep fucking breath. This round, you throw a right hand, you come back, and I'm going to punch you in the face myself. This next round, throw nothing but jabs and feints to remind yourself how to do it, you dick. Oh, I would have been up one side and down the other if I trained a kid and he came out like that, winging fucking one-timers, trying to take him out headhunting. You know what I mean? He should have sat him down, got him focused, and said jab, feint, and once you cover the ground. Because what happens when you load up like that? When you jab, right? BDA, as you jab, you automatically, body comes a little closer, right? You throw a jab, you step in a little bit more. So you step in a little bit more. So that's the reason why, like, Hagler was great at to double up the jab, because that double up, when you would cover more space to that fighter till you get to that fucking idyllic 6 to 8 inch punch. When you're turning your fucking hand over, you're 6 to 8 inches away from the dude's face. That's when you're going to drive through the target. A lot of those big punches he was catching Kambosos with was out at the end of his punch. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't get into him through the jab. The jab not only just is a good find, it's a good range finder, it also sets up your right hand.
Absolutely. It seems so simple that when you talk about it, people go, "Oh yeah, well you're just saying that because you're not the one that's in the ring," but it works. And even if you haven't been at the world class level, just in sparring, it makes a big difference where you can't land a punch and all of a sudden you double up on the jab, boom, all of a sudden I'm getting easier to get on the inside or just to land that right hand in there. I mean,
dude.
Yeah.
We used to spar Dickie Eckler when we were kids. This is after he already fought Sugar Ray Leonard, so you got to understand. He was toying with us. He was teaching us. But he would purposely go in with one glove, a left hand. He would just jab. Just fight us with his left hand with, 16, 17, winging away, trying to fight him and shit. He would just pop, pop, pop. And you go to throw a punch, pop, it'd stick you with a jab. A jab is the most underrated. It's just such a good punch if you master it. Look at all your best jabbers, like Muhammad Ali. He was an all-time great jabber. That's why he's an all-time great fighter. Mayweather had a great, quick, very accurate jab, and he knew when to throw it too. That's the important thing. Some people throw jabs, just keep throwing them just for the sake of throwing them, and there's other people throw them, and then there's Triple G who throws them as a weapon. He actually tries to hurt you with it, and he can.
He also had a chance to get Kambosos out of there, but he didn't jump on him like he could have.
Well, it's also he was tired, and I get he's not that type of fighter. He's not a let me get you out of there. I mean, he did it to Magdaleno because he'd already hit Magdaleno with a bunch of bombs. Magdaleno was a midget in there compared to him. Who else? What? Comey? Okay, yeah, the Comey one, yeah. But other than that, who else? I mean, Tatley, he knocked him out with a body shot. So there wasn't a follow-up required for that one. So it wasn't going to happen against Kambosos, man. He could have, like you said, Gonzalo, he could have if he would have placed his shots a little bit better. But again, he's not that type of guy to chase you down. And not for nothing.
Because I think there was like a lot of time left on the clock, right? Kambosos did a great job of surviving that round.
It's like a minute and a half left, I believe. Yeah. Now, look, I don't want to go with the revisionist history over here, but before the Lomachenko fight, I remember I kept asking people here on the panel and anybody that jumped on, is Lopez a bit of a mirage after the Comey fight? Because he took him out of there before the fight even got started. And prior to that, he hadn't looked all that hot against Nakatani. So how much really did he have? Then he beats Lomachenko, and everyone's like, okay, well, he beat Lomachenko. Well, that answers your question. But then you think about it, man. You think about it. He was having a hard time against Tatley. Again, he dropped him with a body shot, but he wasn't exactly doing anything. Lopez wasn't. He wasn't making these big adjustments where he started schooling Tatley. The fight was even, or even to a point, Tatley was outpointing him. And then Lopez dropped him with a body shot. Nakatani, very hard fight. Lomachenko. Once Lomachenko turned it on and felt comfortable, boom, started schooling him. And now this one. So, I mean, at this point, isn't it fair to say that Lopez he's very good. He's got speed, power, but he just ain't that. He's not this guy that they were trying to make him out to be when it came to pound for pound status and skills and all that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a counter puncher. I mean, Marquez, what did he have in his game? That actually, when you would hit him and drop his ass, he would get up and fucking fight back. When you're a counter puncher, but then you don't got like a plan B when shit ain't working out for you, I mean, it makes you pretty limited because you're not about throwing a lot of punches. You're about just catching and shooting once again.
But Marquez had combinations. He would counter with combinations. Yeah. This guy is like one shot at a time. By the way, we got Recognize dropping by. Recognize, what's your take on this wild ride we call boxing?
Man, I wasn't watching the fight as it happened. I think I caught it. I got to my house like around the 8th round and caught it from there. So it was in the middle of the 8th, so I didn't score that one. I scored 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, right? Basically the last 4 rounds. And I had it pretty even. But then when I watched the fight earlier today and I saw the whole fight, I'm like, man, I'll give props to Kambosos for the fact that there is some skill there. He's also, he's a tough dude. He's a lot better than people make him out to be going into this fight. And the one thing I always knew about him, he can outwork you. That's the one thing he could do. Could definitely outwork you in a fight. Doesn't have the greatest power, but there's some power there. And I just thought, man, he did a wonderful job for a very limited Teofimo Lopez. He looked very limited. It was obvious what he wanted to do. He was just plodding forward, looking for the big counter right hand, and maybe leaping with a left hook. It was kind of very predictable. And I just thought he beat him up for the first. I'm not saying he won every single round, but I thought in the first 8 rounds, or first 7 rounds, he was in control of the fight. And maybe he lost a round or 2. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, he really exposed a lot of what I thought Lopez always was, which was just a guy who relies on you to try to make the fight. He catches you with a big shot, with a big counter punch. If he can't do that, basically he can't beat you.
Mm-hmm. Very good point there, Recognize. Shout out to Rex Righteous for his contribution with the super chat. Says they didn't prepare for that fight, especially with Theo's pops talking about celebrating after the fight mid-round. Oh no, Theo has no jab, man. Shake my head. Shout out to what was this guy's name? Sorry, real quick. Shout out to Rex Righteous 1 for his contribution and his comment. And shout out to Kenshiro. Shout out to Kenshiro who says, if Loma beats Comey, can he get a title shot? Well, one would hope, but then he has to look impressive in that fight as well and get the job done.
I think,
If he does beat him, he would get, I believe, the title.
You know, I think if it comes down to Kambosos wanting to have his next fight in Australia, which I would not blame him, I think the only guy that would do it is Lomachenko. Because if you remember, right around the time the fight was being made for Teofimo versus, right around that time, Teofimo against Lomachenko, Teofimo had to fight Comey, and they were thinking about fighting, what's his name, Kambosos in Australia. There was a little brief talk about that, and it just, it never materialized because I think Lopez knocked out, he had just knocked out Comey, so they were more interested in the unification.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, this guy could have had that Lomachenko rematch right off the bat, man. And instead, he went for the easy money with a mandatory defense because he said he wanted to keep the belts. By the way, real quick, man, because we're getting a lot of things going on here, and people are telling me that they want the phone lines open. They want to call in, give us their thoughts. So real quick, shout out to the Axiom, who says King Bosos. By the way, people are also calling this the bend over. So I don't know why they have to take it out there, but it's pretty funny when people decide to go there. But I gotta tell you, I'm an immature guy. What do you want from me, man? I never grew up. But shout out to
funny.
Shout out to the Axiom. By the way, real quick before we open up the phone lines, man. People are saying, "Oh, I knew people were gonna say this." So people are saying, "Oh, but so Loma lost to Lopez. He lost to a hype job. How did he lose to him? How did he?" And by the way, when Lomachenko loses, does he look like this? I'm putting a photo of Lopez after the Kambosos fight. Did Lomachenko ever look like that after a fight, after one of his losses, rather? No. Now listen, again, you gotta keep it in perspective. Lopez won the fight against Lomachenko. I gave him the fight, and I think most everybody here did as well, if I recall what we talked about after the fight. But how did he win? It wasn't like he schooled him. I know people like to do that. Like, he destroyed Lomachenko, blah, blah, blah. How did he beat him? Lomachenko fucking pulled his shoulder or whatever, started running around. He actually won the second round, by the way. So it's not like he didn't win any of the early rounds. And just the judges didn't give him any credit for it. But when he started pushing Lopez back, what was Lopez doing? Clinching, complaining about headbutts. And it wasn't until the 12th round where he actually had to dig deep and say, okay, this fight's going away from me. I gotta trade with the dude. And he did. And he might not even have won that round.
Right, he got a lot of credit for fighting back, basically, right?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he did good. He could have stole that round. I'm not saying there was no shot, but it sounded more like he was getting a lot of credit for, basically not getting stopped in the last round. Because obviously that's what Lomachenko was trying to do. He was trying to stop him.
No, you're 100% right. Recognize exactly what happened in that situation. Anytime you do, same thing with Canelo or anybody else, when there's the big A side or the really talented dude, you get credit from just not losing. You know what I'm saying? That's 100% right what you said.
And by the way, when Lomachenko went on the attack, Lopez was getting his head snapped back. When Lopez went on the attack and won his rounds early on, he wasn't snapping Lomachenko's head back. He was hitting the arms.
He didn't really do anything to him, right? It was just more inactivity from Lomachenko.
Exactly. So I think there's a little context here to be said or to be shown about who really, how good this guy really is. Listen, maybe at 140 he rejuvenates himself and doesn't have to cut so much weight, and he actually becomes faster, better reflexes. But even then, technique-wise, he just dropped the ball in this one, especially when he came out in the first round, just wild as fuck. I was thinking, this ain't going to work out well for him in this round. And whoop, that's what happened. Fellas, let's take a couple of phone calls here. Keep our finger on the pulse of the boxing world. See what we got going. Let me see if everything's unmuted. Okay. Let's go to... Hold on a second. 687, you're on the air. 687, what's on your mind? 687, you're on the air. Can you hear me? 687.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So, basically watching the fight yesterday, man. I went into it wanting Kambosos to win, but knowing in my heart, in my head at the last second, like, I don't even know if that's possible, but I don't know, just amazing on Kambosos, man. That was a great story in the ring on his end anyways. With Teofimo, it's a little bit different. Like you say, this might have shot him into obscurity after this, but I don't know, man, with the age that we're at, man, people denying being delusional is what's in, so who knows? Maybe Teofimo can spring back with some kind of angle like that.
Hey, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe his delusion will actually help him out. But listen, 678, there's a lot of background noise on your end, so we're gonna move on to another call. But thank you for your call, and call back next time if you want, all right? Or call back later if you want, if you're not in a crowded place. All right, man.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, man. Have a good Sunday. All right, let's go to, and please, people, don't use Bluetooth or a headphone. Use your phone. Don't use speakerphone, and try to really speak as loudly as possible so we can all hear you and hear your point of view on this. Let's go to 254. You're on the air. 254. What's on your mind?
What's up, BDA?
Oh, Gypsy. How you doing, man?
How you guys? Well, I've been calling out you. Send me an invite. Send me a fucking invite, bro.
Because you can see we got a lot of phone calls here, so I'll send them to you in a couple of minutes, all right? After we're done with some of these.
Let me say my piece before you, because I'm just going to say it and I'm going to fucking fall asleep because I had a party yesterday. I stayed up all the way 7 o'clock, bro.
Armenian party.
So, yeah, Armenian party. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So it was my brother's birthday, his 30th birthday.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Sadly, I missed the fight, but I picked Kambosos either by late stoppage or by decision. I'm not joking. I have a video on this, bro. I'm not fucking bullshit. 6 months ago, I chose this, bro.
Whoa.
Are you serious, Gypsy? You really did pick him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to give
Gypsy brother. I'm not.
Gypsy did pick. I saw a video. I'm sub to his channel, so he did a video saying Kambosos would beat Lopez.
Nice.
For you.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar. I watched the tape I could find on him. I still didn't think it happened.
What's that?
He was stylistically a bad matchup, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I said he's stylistic. Jimmy, I said sorry to cut you off. I said he's a stylistic bad matchup for Teofimo Lopez. Not only he's faster than him, he's I later on before the fight even started, I thought he had a better chin than him. And because I searched a little bit, did more research on Kambosos, and he also better chin, stylistically is better, more skillful boxer, faster than him, and a better chin than him. Power-wise, Teo has a slightly, I don't know how much more, but slightly more power than Kambosos. The only reason Kambosos went to decision in some of these fights is because they were trying to survive against this dude. I noticed that
he doesn't really put a lot on his. Well, he doesn't really put a lot on his shots, though. If you see him, he whips them, like Gonzalo explained earlier. He doesn't get his weight up over his front foot and punch through. It's more like snapping quick punches. I mean, it's probably why he doesn't have a lot of knockouts.
Yeah. It's kind of a small dude too, so he requires the speed to generate the power. And he's a game changer, bro. There's no way Teo gives him a rematch because he knows he got schooled. He only won one round, and that's the round that he dropped him. I thought he won the second and third too. I replayed it. I'm like, no fucking way he won the second and third neither. He got dropped in the first, and then after that it was just all Kambosos until the knockdown.
Well, Lopez doesn't do rematches.
This fight was not close.
Lopez doesn't do rematches, so he doesn't need one. Trust me on that. Well, listen, Gypsy, I don't want to keep you up.
The thing is, Kambosos, sorry about that, PD. Kambosos will beat Haney too, and Lomachenko is the guy that's going to defeat him. But Lomachenko would defeat him by a tough fight. A very tough fight because Kambosos is a tough SOB. And it's going to be a close fight where I don't think he stops him. I don't think Kambosos gets stopped by Lomachenko. I think it goes 12 rounds. but it's a clear victor. Not too clear. It's like 8-4, 7-5, something like that to Lomachenko. If they don't rob his ass, that is. That's another thing. Yeah, that's another. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, Kambosos is the real deal, bro.
Well,
He's
Gypsy,
no joke.
congratulations on
that
picking.
many hours with Pacquiao. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry,
That's a good
go
point,
ahead,
man. No, well, that's a good point. All that sparring with Pacquiao must have helped him in some way. And you know, good for you for picking him, man. Congratulations, you picked one of the upsets. It has been the year of the upset. So if you didn't get at least one upset correctly this year, I don't know what to tell you. But Gypsy, shout out to you, man.
I mean, Usyk. Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll send you an invite. Let me know on Discord if you want an invite, and I'll bring you on later after you've had a nap or two. All right, man.
For sure, bro.
Take it easy, man. Have a good Sunday.
All right. All right, buddy.
All right. That was Gypsy saying he got the fight correctly. Good for Gypsy, man. I mean, that's it. I mean, you could tell Kambosos wasn't a bad fight. Everyone was saying, "Oh, he lost the Selby fight." I don't think people watched the Selby fight. He didn't lose that fight. He did pretty well in that, and I think he outworked Selby clearly. All right, let's go to shit. Okay, so a lot of phone calls piling up, but we love talking to the people here. 661, you're on the air. 661, you're on the air. What's on your mind, my friend?
What's going on, Lord? I'm just listening, and I find it amusing how you guys can confidently sit there and lie and act like Teofimo didn't drop him twice and win most of the rounds, right? But it's not surprising, though, because just like Chinese people are the wealthiest in America, leading in academia, what did they do to Chinese people? Make up a fake virus and blame it on them. These superior complex people live in another dimension, you know? The thing that happened is Teal beat Loma. Since then, they've been mad. These racist China haters, and that's the reason they saw a fight, you know, and could boldly lie, like they lie about everything. It's crazy to me.
Can I ask you
who are?
Can I ask you, caller? Can I ask you who are the China haters? We need to determine that right away. It's very important.
The what?
Who are the China haters? We need to determine that.
Oh, the China haters are the people that act like they founded the country when they didn't. They're third eye blind, intuitionless apes. The people that worship black people, the Freemasons. Why they use the black and white flag, why a race is called a race, like a race of people, also a race, like an objective, a competition somewhere, and that flag in a race, like at NASCAR finish lines, is black and white, because Freemasons, black and white people work together and hate indigenous people. If you look at the word indigenous, it's an anagram of disingenuous, so is native. Take off the T, it's naive. Because these Edomites, these China haters that can't admit that Teal dominated Loma, that been wanting Teal to lose, they worship black people and they hate indigenous people, and they also hate Chinese people because Chinese people are the wealthiest in the country, in the whole planet, leading in America. And they will say, America's free, the land of the free. Yeah, you're going to get fired if you don't take the jab, right? It's just an excuse to scapegoat China because they're superior complex.
You are on fire, my friend. You are on fire. I like your energy. But I do have to correct you on one thing, though.
I have the proof.
I know you do, but I got to correct you on one thing. He didn't drop. I got to correct you.
Twice.
Guy, I gotta correct you. He didn't drop him twice. He dropped him once.
No, he dropped him twice. All right. That's shambles. That's bulla. Right. He dropped him twice, man. Peace and love, though, BDA.
All right, take it easy, man. Thank you for your call. Call back next time.
Problem, man. Peace and love.
Call back next time.
For sure.
BDA. Loma, that's crazy. What's this guy? Fucking Teofimo? He got hurt a second time, didn't he? Like close to the bell. Where he almost got dropped, like he got shook.
Yeah, almost, man, almost. But Jimmy,
did you remember that?
What did you think of this last caller, or guys? What did you?
Well,
he made some good points.
He said that Lopez dominated Lomachenko. If that's the case, then why didn't he run it back?
Because he was scared.
Why did he avoid it like a fucking child sport?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Chinese Freemasonry. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Chinese Freemasonry.
Well, he says that basically white and black people. I couldn't understand. He was rambling quick. Was he say white and black people hate Chinese?
Well, I mean, can you blame him with all the...
He was spot on.
Gonzalo goes, he was spot on. I mean, I don't know. I don't know exactly what he meant, but I think that's more of a conversation for Second Renaissance. But, man, I like your energy. You need to call back again, man. The splendor of China. All right, that's enough of that. We got a lot of phone calls here. Let's get to 929. Let's go to 929. You're on the air. 929. What's on your mind?
Okay, first off, what the fuck was that? Something about Chinese people, the Vegemites. the underwear gnomes. Well, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck does that have to do with the fight? Anyway, salute BDA and the rest of the panel, Jimmy, Gonzalo, Frank.
What's going on, brother?
I'm really like just confused and just utterly stunned at how Teofimo came out at this fight. Like, he came out of his shell just basically swinging and missing and basically setting himself up for counters. And shout out to George Kambosos. You know, he did his thing. You know, he minded his P's and Q's. He did everything except, you know, slugging it out with him, which I think is a detriment to him because he got knocked down because of that. I didn't think he didn't need to do that. But shout out to him, man. He really did his job. I thought in the training camp, I saw him, you know, he had this laser focus. He had a desire to win and wanted to prove people wrong. And I only, you know, talked to a couple YouTubers that said that had Kambosos winning. You know, shout out to one of them, Tony's Reviews. He said that the Teofimo, to me, is kind of a shot fighter. Well, not shot fighter, but like kind of like ring rust, because the layover, so pardon my fucking, you know, pun, but like that to me was also a detriment to him, because like as a counter puncher, you need to stay sharp, you know, you need to stay active, you know, and to me that all comes down to his ego. I don't know, after that fucking Loma win, which was to me arguably that was a draw. He got too big headed. Give the middle finger to Bob Arum because he, you know, they didn't like the payoff for the fucking mandel. So he priced himself out and has to deal with fucking knuckleheads from Triller. Triller, to me, okay, they set it up nicely. You know, even though it was the same weekend as the Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul fight, he should have taken that date, you know, and dealt with this thing, you know, swiftly. Mm-hmm. You know, if he was there to take him out, go take him out, but you got to do it fast. And when you break down the fight, I really didn't see, you know, how Kambosos was really going to dominate, you know, because I didn't see him fight. Nobody gauges his resume and say, oh, okay, that dude is a problem. He's a threat to Teofimo, but he did what he could to get to this place. He got it through the IBF and he earned it, and he showed us why he's unified lightweight world champion. That's right. For Teofimo, man, before he does anything, right? He has to clean house, get rid of his fucking dad. Because like when I saw that, I guess Blessed in Tears documentary, I saw that he has a complex relationship with his dad, and you know he doesn't like his wife. His whole family doesn't like his wife, but like he has to separate his family life from his boxing life, like separate. Like you like take away the drama. You got to have a drama-free like camp. And to me, Teo Senior is not that guy. That guy who likes to stir up shit and like to be the center of attention and like to gas up his fucking son and his idiot fans doing the same thing. And he's created this sphere of fucking influence when nobody has to tell him like, yo, bro, I think you need to chill. And he doesn't know how to chill. He doesn't like, even when I saw him fight, there's a lack of poise in the way he carries himself inside and outside the ring. All right, you know, and that's where it comes from this, you know, this ego that has gotten to this place.
That's an excellent point, man. He needs to be able to micromanage things, or at least, you know, like you said, just separate it, man, and stay focused. Because, you know, you would expect a guy like that who had a good amateur. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to add real quick that I think that was really fucking foolish of him for his camp to draw Drew Camacho. Because that was the one that got him ready for that Loma fight.
Exactly.
And I gotta say one thing about that Loma fight. That Loma fight showed me things that, okay, yeah, he was quote unquote winning, but he didn't do a lot because Loma did not apply pressure to him. The fight didn't start until the 7th round. Once that happened, Teofimo was going through basically adversity, and that's the thing that bothers me about him, is how he goes through adversity, and he struggles, and no one has been able to tell him that. I don't think his trainer, you know, his father should be there, you know, because he's just there to be a cheerleader, not a trainer.
There you go, man. That's a great, excellent point, Virtuoso. Listen, we got to move on because we got other callers, but thank you for your call. Call back next time, right, man? Excellent points. Excellent.
Not a problem, man.
Take it easy, man.
Peace.
All right, let's go to...
Yeah, good call, Virtuoso.
Everybody that's on Real quick, everyone that's on hold right now, I know there's still people that have been holding for more than 10 minutes. I'm going to get to all of you, all right, fellas? Stay tuned. But go ahead, Jimmy. What was it?
No, I was just going to say it was an excellent call. And it's true. Listen, his old man senior, he's the type of dude who starts a fucking fist fight at a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like just completely no self-control, no fucking impulse control. You know what I mean? And that's just, you don't need that shit.
That's a good one.
You know what I mean? Recognize. You know what I mean? Like, there's just certain, Christmas Day, he's the dude throwing fucking punches. Like, just certain times you don't fucking fight, and it's just, he's got no
What
impulse
about
control.
in his day? I was great in my day. I was great.
You talk about me, man.
Greatest drug dealer, the greatest fucking this, the greatest that. He's Danny Garcia's father, kind of. You know what I mean? In that kind of way.
Worse.
Kind of worse, man.
Yeah, worse. Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Because Danny's father's at least afraid of Al Heyman.
Oh. All right, let's go to real quick. We got a lot of phone calls here. 714, you're on the air. 714, what's on your mind? 714, you're on the air. 714, going once, going twice, going 3 times. Sorry about that, man. Yeah, because a lot of people are waiting. I think maybe they walk away from the phone, but call back, man, after we're or during the show. 407, you're on the air. 407, what's on your mind?
What's up, guys? Hope y'all have been well. I know I haven't been here a bit, but bro, what an upset that we have last night, bro. I don't think the rematch is gonna happen between Kambosos and Teofimo. This is what I think Teofimo should do. First of all, move up to 140. The weight cut is already, everybody can see it's a brutal weight cut, and you shouldn't be risking your health for patent record. If you're gonna do it at a weight class where you can actually make weight at. Next thing, what was it? Get a tune-up with Top Rank and fight for a vacant belt, because let's face it, he's not going to fight Josh Taylor, and Josh Taylor is going to move up. So let's get a vacant belt, and with it, a tune-up, then a vacant belt from the winner of a matchup that I think should happen for a vacant belt, which is Matias Zepeda. A great Puerto Rico versus Mexico match, and have the winner of that. We'll have both fights happen at the same card. Teofimo and the tune-up, and Zepeda and Matias at the same card. The winners fight for a vacant belt. That's what I think should happen, in my opinion.
Hey, that's some nice little promotion right there, man. Why not? Hopefully, look, listen, everyone was talking about the 4 queens fighting each other, or AKA avoiding each other, but now we were getting a little resolution, man. Lomachenko, if he beats Comey, he's still in the picture.
Honestly, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I do think some of the fights are going to happen. Like, for example, Haney and Teofimo, I think it's going to happen, obviously, in a couple years or in a few, but it's for sure going to happen at 140. That's my best prediction. It's going to happen, just not immediately.
Well, hopefully, man. Hopefully. I don't think the rematch happens. Even Lopez's father is saying he doesn't want it. And usually what his father says is the same thing his son wants. Like when he said, I think I can convince my son to rematch Lomachenko, meaning neither of them really wanted it. So hopefully that happens. Hopefully we get some resolution in this lightweight division. But like you said, what an upset, man. Anyway, listen, 407, thank you for your call, man. Yeah. We'll catch you on the next one, right, man?
All right.
Take it easy.
All right, you take care. God bless.
You too. Same to you and your family. Let's go to...
BDA, I was surprised that the telecaster said that Lopez was dropped in his debut, but he got up to knock the other guy out. He's been down in sparring. He was down in this fight. I think this guy's going to end up kissing the canvas many times throughout his career, man.
We'll see, man. We'll see. Fighting with his hands down doesn't help. 612, you're on the air. 612, what's on your mind?
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can, Tin Man. Thank you for calling in, man. What's on your mind?
Hey, so the Takeover got exposed yesterday. There was no difference between his dad and Tunde Ajayi. Basically, every round he was telling him to empty the tank. And so I think now Kambosos Kambosos win makes the lightweight division more spicy, I would say. I think Devin Haney can beat Kambosos because I think he's a lot more disciplined with his jab. But I give Kambosos props. I had predicted that the fight would go the distance, but I didn't think that New York would give him the win. And full props to Kambosos. His conditioning was fantastic. I think he took a lot of shots and he stayed up. I never expected him to do that. I think Lopez needs to go back to Joey Gamache and take a couple of tune-up fights and then campaign at 140. And I think this opens up the lightweight division. That was the best part. You saw Ryan Garcia coming out of his hole and saying, "I can rematch. I can come back to Kambosos." I mean, I think Twitter murdered him for that. And hopefully, and I feel Lomachenko is still the best lightweight in the world. Thank you.
All right. Well, interesting, man. By the way, Tin Man, did you pick Kambosos to win this fight? I think somebody said that in the Discord.
No, I just said that the fight would go the distance. I didn't expect Kambosos to win.
All right. Well, shout out to you, Tin Man. Thank you for calling in. Always bringing the fire. And have a good Sunday, man. Call back next time.
Yeah, you too.
Good call.
Take it easy, man. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the likes. Hit the likes. Really helps us out. That's all. We ask for a thumbs up, man. It really helps us out. More, that's, fucking super chats and all that. That's all fine and dandy. But hitting the thumbs up, subscribing if you haven't subscribed already, really helps us out. The fuck? Okay, there's somebody's name, Rebecita Love Sexy, in the chat. Qué decepción de Teofimo, se dejó ganar, pero nada. All right. Yeah, they're just saying that that Teofimo lost. He let himself lose. No, Teofimo, he let himself lose. But this is boxing. These things happen. All right. Her name caught me off guard. Love Sexy. It's like, what? Isn't that's my alias? Don't steal it. All right, let's go to real quick. 405. You're on the air. 405. What's on your mind?
Hey, don't you love when underdogs win?
I love it, man. Year of the upsets, man.
Yeah. You see how that's going to bring more money to boxing? People from Australia are going to watch it now.
Yeah, Australia, man, with Tim Tszyu and Kambosos now, they're having they're like the Spaniards. They're having a pretty good year in boxing.
That's cool, dude. I think that's great for boxing.
So what'd you think of the fight, man?
It was cool. I mean, shit. I had fun with it. But all these people trying to tell Teofimo what to do, like, just let him do what he's going to do. He's going to act like an asshole, he's going to act like an asshole. But what do you think about Loma now?
Yeah, do you
he
think
lost to this clown?
Do you think the tail of the scorpion and the frog applies to Lopez in the sense that if we knew him and his father are a little bit like hot-headed and all that, we should have expected this from them if they ever lost, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's great for boxing, and it's great to have all kinds of different people as champions. And the underdogs always make for, like, when an underdog wins, it always makes for a better watch, I think.
Absolutely.
It's kind of what happens with Canelo, where you know he's going to win. So it's kind of like, fuck, I'm going to pay to watch Canelo win again? Or am I going to pay to watch Canelo maybe lose? I think that's better.
That's a good point, man. That's a good way of looking at it. Spreading some of your coins around when it comes to purchasing boxing fights. Anyway, listen, 405. Thank you for your call. We got to move on. Catch you on the next one, right, man? Call back next time.
Hey, no problem.
Take it easy, man. Yeah, guys, don't you just love, man? This year has been, can't remember a better year, man. 2013, maybe? But I mean, all the upsets we've had. It just goes to show you, it's not always about the judges being in on it or the promoter. I mean, sometimes, hey, man, the ring ends up filtering everybody.
Inactivity. Ring rust.
That too, yeah.
Reared its ugly head again last night. You cannot compete or can think you're going to compete at your best, at your highest level if you do this shit part-time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason James Toney would go make $500,000 for a fight and then go fight off television for $12,000 because he wanted the camp. He wanted to fight. Fight. The more you fight, the better you are. End of story. These guys fight once, twice a year. This is what you expect.
Wait, I mean, end of story. You don't get to end the story. I might have something to say about it. What's the matter with you? By the way, shout out to Not for his contribution with the super chat. Shout out to K-Not, who says, Tin Man made a good point. That isn't it suspicious that the hometown guy didn't get the benefit of the doubt in a close fight? Makes you wonder about Hearn. Well, shout out to Not for his contribution. But I guess the judges got it. I mean, most people's had Kambosos winning, so it's not like. I mean, I get. Yeah.
I always say the way you set up a guy who gets like the benefit of the doubt, you just make the fight go real. That you don't really have to do much. You just let the fight play out. You know, you get the proper officiating in the ring, and you watch that boy lose if he's not that good.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, man. Let's go real quick. Let's go to another phone call here. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
Steve.
Gentlemen.
Oh. How'd you know it was Steve? Steve, how you doing, man?
Well, I know his prefix.
I am doing better than I'm better. I'm doing better than Teofimo Lopez and his plan. My God.
Bring. Hey, Steve, do you mind stay here on the line and let me get through a couple of phone calls because there's people that have been waiting for a while.
No problem.
Yeah, but let's say if somebody, hopefully people have questions for you too, man. Because I mean, you've been following. I mean, this is a monumental upset, man. This is fucking year of the upsets over here. All right, let's go real quick to hold on a second. 301, you're on the air. You're on the air with Steve Kim, by the way. 301, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
Hello, BDA. Hello, this is Mauricio Suleiman, the Magnificent. I would like to congratulate you on your boxing forum and give you the inaugural Heavyweight Boxing Debate Forum commemorative pin and Discord emoji.
Nice.
I would congratulate you on this monumental decision. You can make out the sanctioning fee payments to my drug mule in Juarez in the back of a truck-stop bathroom.
All right.
I hope you saw the very significant triangle match between Frank Mir and Kubrat Pulev. I look forward to more of these equidistant fights.
Absolutely, Mauricio. Absolutely.
Enough of that.
Mauricio, I don't know why you sound Arab instead of Mexican, but yeah, I mean, I get you. Thank you for the pin. Really, we all appreciate it here. In the name of everybody here on the panel, man, we really appreciate it.
Yes, I congratulate you and all of your panel members.
Absolutely.
Yes, I drank too much tequila. It makes me Muslim. So I am now Suleiman the Magnificent.
All right, he's cracking himself up. Come on, you can't do a fucking.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen. I couldn't sustain that for too long.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like this Kambosos fight, that was surprising for me, for sure. But I don't think Kambosos did like a huge array of displayed like some really wide, diverse array of skills. I don't know how you guys thought about it, but from what I saw, he was just waiting to like draw out the occasional jab from Lopez, fire off a check left hook, fire off a 1-2 in the middle of the ring, and reset when he got to ropes. And then when he'd exchange, I gotta say both guys seemed a little sloppy. So like the inactivity, like a little nervous, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it made me think about the Lomachenko match. And a lot of people say styles make fights. I think like in this case, it's more like anthropometry makes fights. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's really hard for a guy like Loma who uses a lot of grappling techniques to deal with someone who's like bigger and thicker than him because he can't play with the guard as well. Which just kind of, in my mind, makes me appreciate a guy like Roberto Duran, a lot more. Because I mean, this guy came from like below lightweight, right? I mean, he was champion lightweight, but he started his career like a bantamweight or something. I mean, I know he was like malnourished, but like he went up to not just knock out, but like mug Davey Moore at super middleweight.
Right. Well,
it's
listen,
crazy
man.
to think about. Like, you can't see Lomachenko doing that welterweight,
No. But listen, man, we got to move on to other calls. Thank you for your call. You sort of got my hopes up there for the WBC pin, but anyway, it is what it is. Thank you for your call.
WBC pin, yes.
We'll catch
Make
you
sure
on the next.
to pay attention, please.
All right.
It's very important.
All right, very important. Right. Take it easy, man. Thank
Happy
you for calling.
Sunday, guys.
You too, man. He got me with that call. I said, man, I really thought we were gonna get a pin of some sort. And by the way, I thought maybe, hey, we had Steve Kim on, and I said, hey, now we got Suleiman. He's trying to upstage Steve. What's that all about? You should have stepped in there, Steve. Should have stepped in and said, fuck you. All right, let me get to these phone calls here. I'm going to try to get to them to make a statement, and we want 914, you're on the air, 914. What's on your mind?
Sorry about that, guys. So, there was a gentleman on your panel that said like the inactivity playing a pivotal role, and I just want to agree with that because a lot of things could change in a in boxing. So Lomachenko's gonna have fought twice. I think he fought Nagatani, and then he's gonna fight Comey in a week or two. Then you have Devin Haney fighting in a couple of days. So, these guys, they don't really need to do extra stuff to promote themselves when they're going into a fight. I feel like Teofimo's dad, he felt a lot of pressure because, whatever they did during the Lomachenko fight, it kind of evaporated because of the extended amount of time outside of the ring. So a lot of the promotional antics that they did made them, kind of pay less attention to the game plan that they needed. I think they thought they're going to do what Demetrius Andrade did last week, where he went there, he blew out that guy Quigley, the mandatory, and went 2 rounds or something like that. And I thought that's what Teofimo thought he was going to do. But I thought this fight was a foregone conclusion because I thought I was going to go to sleep. I might watch a couple of minutes and I'm going to go to sleep. But after I saw that knockdown in the first round, it made me think, whoa, what the hell is going on here? Like, my mind got blown. And also, the judges had that knockdown round as a 10-9 for Kambosos. It wasn't a 10-8 round. And I feel like inactivity is, like, you look at Sandor Martin and Mikey Garcia, that was an inactivity thing. And I'm also questioning my picks on Gennady Golovkin and Murata. Also, when Gary Russell Jr. comes back, and the next upcoming fight, this fight kind of has me questioning that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it could be, man. It's a year of the upsets. But listen, 914, great points. That the lightweights are lining up. We have to move on because we got a lot going on here. So thank you for your call. Call back next time. All right, man?
Take care, guys. Excellent show.
Take it easy, man. Thank you for calling in. All right. Let's go to 305 real quick. 305, you're on the air. 305, what's on your mind? All right, hold on a second. Man, that's a chainsaw in the background. What the fuck?
Yeah, I was using power tools.
I hope it's not a snuff film. 305, are you there?
No,
yeah.
No. I'm here.
What's up, man?
I think Teofimo is definitely drained at 135. He definitely needs to go up to 140. I think his father definitely needs to step out of his career. He needs to go train with Reynoso.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that's what some people have been saying, man, that he needs to switch it up when it comes to the training.
But also, something got to be done about
father trainers out there.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of father trainers out there that have the best interest for their kids, but they don't have the best interest for their kids. It just doesn't work out. There's only so far you can take your kid, and I think he's taking his kid the farthest he can take his kid. I think he's taking the farthest he can take his kid, and Teofimo is probably a 140-pounder. I don't think he's a 147-pounder right now. I think he would be a good fit for the Reynoso camp.
Mm-hmm. That may be, man. I mean, listen, that's an interesting point because his father was telling him, he did tell him at least, jab a little bit more, come in behind the jab, and once he started doing it, it started working out. But listen, 305, thank you for your call. We're going to talk about what you just pointed out right now, but thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right, man?
All right, thanks.
Take it easy, man. Yeah, because we got a lot of phone calls here piling up. Hey, did somebody just drop off? I think Steve just dropped off. Fuck. All right.
Well, did you send him a link? Did you send Steve a link?
I think Bucho's talking to him at the same, because I can't go on Twitter right now at the same time.
Yeah.
While I'm here,
so I think he sent him a link instead of having him on the phone. But yeah, I'm very curious to hear Steve's take
Me
on
too,
this.
man. But it's we got a lot. The phone calls piled up here.
Oh no, I know. I know that. I meant that. Like, I hope he calls back.
Yeah, me
I
too,
wasn't
man.
questioning what
That's
you
the
were
thing.
doing.
I hope he doesn't feel like we're keeping him waiting. But there he is. Steve, are you there? No, he dropped out. Well, let's get through these phone calls and then we'll continue on here. Let's go to 240. 240. You're on the air. 240. What's on your mind?
Hello?
Yes, 240. You're on the air.
Hey, yeah, I'm calling about the fight yesterday. It was very entertaining. I was shocked. I kind of felt bad for Kambosos going in the fight, and I saw the size difference. I was like, shit. Like Lopez looked like 150 last night. After he rehydrated, and Kambosos looked like 135, and I was like, man, you can see a big size difference. And Lopez has the power, but man, respect to him. He had he stood there and took his power and beat the shit out of Lopez and schooled him. I think he schooled him, and I gave him I gave Lopez 4 rounds. I think 4 rounds.
Jeez,
and then the rest I give it to what's his name, Kambosos. But yeah, it was a good fight. I was rooting for him, for Kambosos, but I had a feeling, I'm rooting for the underdog, but most of the time they always lose, and I feel like he's going to lose, but I was surprised. I was shocked.
Yeah, man, the year of the upsets, man. That's what boxing is all about, getting these type of surprises. 240, we got to move on.
Yeah,
but anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, I think Lopez looked drained too, and I don't know what he did in these 9 months or whole year that he didn't fight, but he looked drained. He looked slow. I don't know why he was trying to fight Kambosos with his hands down like he was Roy Jones Jr. He didn't have it. He didn't have the speed either. Like, he wasn't as sharp as when he fought Lomachenko. He had his hands up higher last time. He was shooting the jab, but I don't know why this time he just didn't have that with him.
Right. Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah,
man.
that's it.
Well, listen, 240, great points. Thank you for calling in. And by the way, are you inside the Iron Man suit or something? It sounds like you got a helmet on or something.
No. Hold on. No.
All right, just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to make sure who I was talking to. All right, listen, 240. Call back next time, right, man? Take it easy.
It's Iron Man.
All right, listen, what we're going to do is everyone that's waiting here on the phone lines, I know some of you have been waiting for a while, but we still got about 1 hour, more than an hour left on the phone line. So please stay tuned. We're just going to go back to the panel for a little bit and then take calls again, all right? Because otherwise it's just taking phone call after phone call after phone call. Even in radio, they don't do that. So we got to switch it up a little bit. But we're going to get to you, fellas. I promise you. We always will get to you. Speaking of which...
I want to say something real quick about...
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so there's two things that I find alarming about Lopez. I've always thought he was a little bit hyped more than he really was, that good.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that came to light after this fight was he's getting beat up by a dude lighter than him. At moments. No, now don't get me wrong. He fought back and he had his moments. I don't think that fight was a wash. I thought it was like 7-5. You can argue 6-6. If you had an 8-4, I guess, for Kambosos, I guess maybe I missed a round here or there. But I thought it was closer. I thought it was like 7-5 or 6-6. But he was getting beat up. And here's another thing. That nose, and I'm not trying to be funny, that beak that he has, that's dangerous as a boxer. Because, look, if I saw a guy who had a nose like that, that's the first thing I want. I want to jab the shit out of it. I want to break it so that way he can quit. Or, his eyes get really swollen up. Whatever it takes, boxing is a brutal game. And his nose is bleeding. I saw that really red right there. I'm like, man, it's just a matter of time when guys just start aiming for the nose, directly for that nose. Just wanted to throw that.
No, you got a good point,
and
man.
by the way, he got cut. That was a clean cut. I didn't see no headbutts or anything.
Yeah, there was clean cuts, man.
Yeah, doctor, if it would have got stopped, it was a clean cut.
And you know what's interesting, like you said, man, that it's we don't judge fights based on who the damage, but that was a lot of damage. That wasn't just because he's got that type of skin. Now we got Steve Kim dropping by. We got a special treat for everybody here. Steve Kim dropping by, the co-host of the 3 Knockdown Rule. You can follow him on Twitter. I'm going to be pulling up his Twitter. I always forget. Steve, what is it? Steve Kim at yeah.
Steve Kim 323.
323. There you go. Okay, yeah. Steve.
And he's also on the Blaze with Jason Whitlock doing excellent work over there.
Oh,
excellent stuff.
Absolutely.
And Snack, you can read him. He's puts out a couple of at least 2 a week on Snack. But anyways,
love reading those
Jimmy.
snacks, man.
Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Is there finally a lesson? Hey, you young fighters, keep fighting. Look,
yes.
Am I stunned by the result? I am. I thought Tio would be good enough to get him out of there. But last night, you saw a kid who fought with a sense of entitlement. He felt if I hit this guy a couple times, he's going to read the script and fall over and I can go home. Obviously, George Kambosos didn't play by the script. And it reminds me of that line in Rocky when Duke told Apollo Creed, this man doesn't know it's a damn show. He thinks it's a damn fight. And I've seen this before. When fighters like Teofimo Lopez, who are the heavy favorites, start to realize, oh, God, this is a real fight, it's too late. It's too late. And there were times in that fight when he's getting hit with these counter punches, Tio had this look like, oh, my God, I can't believe you're having the temerity to hit me back. And I kept telling the father throughout the last several months, you guys have blown the year. He got angry at me for tweeting out one time that they hadn't fought since last October, which is a fact. It's not an opinion. But I have no sympathy for them. And you know I'm a big fan of theirs. You know I'm close to them. But they did it to themselves. And I make this point. There's never been a superstar 16 fights in. And they thought the victory over Lomachenko was like this star-making performance. No, what it was a great victory that could be leveraged and catapulted into something much bigger. And this should be a lesson to every young fighter and manager out there is like, don't be a smart ass. Okay? Don't be a smart ass. You're not going to beat the system this early. Put in a little bit of work. They did this to themselves. They deserved what happened last night.
Steve, did that go through your mind as soon as midway through the first round when he was going there for the kill, swinging, uncharacteristically trying to look for the knockout in the first round?
Kind of, sort of. I know that the father had said that this was going to be like that fight over Mason Menard, but say what you want about Kambosos. He was very well prepared. He had a great mentality, and he's a solid fighter, and he had a really good psychological toughness to him. He was a Spartan in there last night. And there were times in that fight where I felt that Kambosos was taking the fight to Tio, and his quickness gave him a lot of problems. But that's the thing about Tio's style, which is a lot of that catch and counter, shoulder roll, check hook counter, pull counter with the right hand. That takes timing. And if you don't fight often, just a split second, a nose hair of being off can just absolutely throw everything off. I remember, and I've told you this before, I told the father late December, early January last year after the victory over Loma, I said, everyone calls him Junior. I said, Junior, you're not a star yet. You know how much I think of your son. Get 3 or 4 fights in this year. Take care of this mandatory by February or March, and let's get going. But they wanted to hit the super lotto. Well, they did. Was it worth it?
Oh, my God. I mean, Steve, I'm so glad you made that point. I just want to say, man, I say that like I beat that dead horse, especially with the counterpuncher. Your timing has to be just right. You know what I mean? And these guys aren't fighting enough, and it shows, and it showed last night. And like you made another excellent point. Instead of taking that win over Lomachenko as the platform to build a solid career, they looked at it as like they were standing at the pinnacle. You know what I mean?
That was a launching pad from Cape Canaveral. You didn't hit the moon. You weren't Neil Armstrong.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I make this point, and I wrote about it for Snack.com a couple of months ago. I hate when these young fighters all say, well, before we become Money Mayweather, we have to be Pretty Boy. It's all bullshit. It's all empty platitudes from these kids trying to sound smart. The bottom line about Floyd, and I know there's a lot of people that don't like Floyd, but can we give Mr. Mayweather some credit? Before he got to the De La Hoya fight, which really launched him into another tax bracket, he put in 11 years into that career, 37 fights. He had won 4 separate world titles from 30, 35, 40, and 47, and was considered no less than the second best fighter in the world. None of these guys are willing to put in that type of work before getting to a fight like De La Hoya. That's the truth.
Bingo.
I mean, people were saying, well, he beat Comey, he beat Nakatani, but let's face the facts. Nakatani wasn't a well-known guy in there. As far as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, he was supposed to be some sort of a cherry pick, right? It's a cherry pick gone
right.
wrong.
I mean, look, that's a good resume. For a guy with 15, 16 fights, that's a good resume. And then you know what you do? You build upon it. Then after the next fight, you build upon it. I don't get it. In 1997, I've used this example before. I wrote a big article on ESPN about it where I went over the 1997 of Oscar De La Hoya with Oscar. In the summer of 96, he beat Chavez for the first time in what was a huge event, and he's the biggest star in boxing below the heavyweight level. De La Hoya took the rest of the year off, but in 1997, he fought 5 championship fights. He fought Pernell, Miguel Angel Gonzalez, David Kamau, Hector Camacho, Wilfredo Rivera. He took a fight and never really thing except gauge the value of a fight, and then with Arum said, okay, what's this fight worth? Let's make a deal. And so he fought 5 times, and it set him up for the rest of his career. That's what I suggested to Teofimo Lopez. But, you know, as soon as they won the fight, it was all about, all right, how do we get into a battle with our promoter, and then let's just run our own show. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It should be an object lesson on how not to capitalize off a big victory.
Hey, Steve, you know, one thing I noticed compared to, like, fighters of the early 90s, the 80s, all through the 90s, I think that was the last era of, like, earning your way or earning your status in the ring, where today it's more social media. I beat one guy, pay me like an exaggerated amount of money. In other words, that one fight should cover everything.
There's no doubt.
The mentality today.
Look, it took Marvin Hagler 50 fights to get to his first title shot. It took Buddy McGirt about 45. Mike McCallum, probably the best pure junior middleweight that I've seen, he had a lot of issues. He had to go through a lot. There's a sense of entitlement that, hey, but I have 1.1 million followers. Honestly, at this point, I don't even give a shit. I don't care if you have more followers than Kim Kardashian. There's no better marketing for a boxer than get this guy's actually fighting, as I told you the last time. And I got to be honest, with Teofimo, I actually worry about his overall future if we've already seen the best of him, because I think mentally, I don't know if he's tough enough. I really don't. And that does concern me. Maybe I'm being a little bit prisoner of the moment, but I just wonder, has he completely lost his mojo?
I think so, Steve. And I thought he lost it before he had this fight with Kambosos. He never acted like a guy who beat like a pound for pound fighter. He always acted. There was this false bravado that was not confidence. It was like trying to hide something. And I think that he took this situation too lightly. And you know, like, I'll give credit to Kambosos, but I also think that Teofimo lost the fight. If you get what I'm saying, as much as Campbell,
he lost the edge.
As much as Kambosos won it, he also lost that fight.
Yeah, you know, look, he let his edge get dulled. He really did. Sometimes you can die on the vine even as a young fighter, and it's not so much physical because they're young, but you can lose it psychologically. That's the one thing that concerns me about Teofimo, and obviously people are going to want to fire the father. Who knows if he has enough gumption to do that. The family dynamics there are very interesting, but there's a lot of turmoil. And look, last night was alarming in a sense that after the knockdown, I said, okay, pull it out. It'll be a bad night, but he'll find a win. And then he just had nothing left. And I think you guys are right. His face gets marked up. It's just not the nose. It's also the scar tissue over that left eye. That's going to be an issue. and he has a type of skin that when he gets hit, it shows, and you can see the bruising and the marks. So this will be interesting. And now he has to go back to Top Rank. And I asked someone at Top Rank, what about this new amended deal? They don't really know yet what terms are used. So I just thought it was funny. The dad said, well, we're going to go back to Top Rank, who loves this. Guys, you left Top Rank. You tried to embarrass that company. You did this. They never left you. You left them. It's just the lunacy. Let's just put it this way. Again, no sympathy for them.
Now, can I say a couple of things here?
Yes.
Just real quick, Jimmy. Bad Girl TKO, shout out to Bad Girl TKO with the super chat says never would have happened had they listened to Aram. All right, we'll get to that later on. Bad Girl, shout out to Bad Girl for contribution. Really appreciate it. Shout out to Pete, who donated the super chat as well. Says, recognize is right. Even a stubborn, hard-headed Greek like Kambosos knows to target a pelican beak like that. Couldn't miss. Shout out to Pete. And then he also donated later on again. He said, oh, actually, hold on. I think I missed his. No, actually, I think that's it. That's about it. So shout out to you, too, for your contributions. Really appreciate it. Go ahead, Jimmy. My apologies.
I said I started out the show, Steve, exactly the same thing you said. I said, and to be honest, not just the loss last night. I don't know if this kid rebounds from this because he's such an emotional kid to begin with. And this took a big hit on him. This is going to be rough on him on social media because he's involved heavily in that. His father can't keep his face out of mics, out of cameras. So there's a lot of things at play. Like, I'd be more surprised if he comes back to the form he was at Lomachenko. I'd be more surprised if he did that than I would if he just basically fades away.
I also thought that the father was very exaggerated before when he used to say, "Oh, my son can do things that you've never seen before. He's just real great." I mean, it's pretty easy to understand what he does well. So I don't see where's the magic that they speak about. I think that's a little exaggerated as well. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Steve.
Well, no, guys, look, I've seen footage of a young Tio in the gym at age 16, 17 against a highly skilled guy like Yordenis Ugas, and I'm like, wow. I mean, just making Ugas miss and counter-punching off the ropes. But that's when that kid was still just a fighter. And I don't know. Sometimes when that magic is gone, you could never get it back. But I do want to give credit to Kambosos. They kept talking about the ordeal of Triller and Teofimo as if somehow George Kambosos never suffered anything. This guy had to go through a 14-week camp away from his pregnant wife. Then every time he had to go back to Australia, I think over there they make you quarantine for 2 weeks by yourself when you come back to the country. So he had to do a lot of different things. He was always a very, very compliant guy who said, you know what, I want this title shot no matter what the lunacy of a platform or a network or a promoter or the other fighter. I'm going to hang tough. He didn't know when the fight was going to happen. They offered to do it in Australia, and Teofimo acted like they're asking him to go to Venus or Mars. Yet all that guy did is he stepped up to the table like a soldier and got to work. I thought it was an incredibly admirable performance, and that's why we love boxing. It's why you fight the fights is men like him. Because Jimmy, I'm sure you've probably seen thousands of guys like him, tough, hard-nosed guys who are very solid individuals. They may not be special, but they work hard. They give their life to the game, and to see a guy or any boxer get his just rewards and not have it taken from him, and then now the world opens up to him in a different tax bracket. I think it's a great story.
He showed a lot of heart. He showed a great chin too, because he was taking some big right hands early on. I was like, whoa, he's not going to be able to take those all night. Then he took one in the 10th, went down and said, oh boy, here we go. But he got back up, second wind. Boom.
And BDA, to your point, like you said earlier, BDA, remember you said it was around the 9th or 10th. For some reason, he went in behind the jab. The reason why he was able to hurt him, like I said earlier, by coming in behind the jab, you're closing the distance. You're getting closer to that 6-8-inch punch, the money punch.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, when he was pot shot and telegraphing, those punches were catching him, giving him just that split second to duck out just a little bit, just enough he was catching those big shots out at the end of the punch where you lose so much of the punch through on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why he was able to hurt him later, because he started jabbing, and a jab also disguises the punch, so you don't see it coming as much. And but I do 100% agree with everything Steve said about Lopez. And Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. But good, I'm glad for that kid, Kambosos. You know what I mean? He is. He's like a rugged kid. Put him in that bracket. But again, one thing really, I'm really nervous. The thing that I don't want to happen more than anything. Suddenly, Floyd go, oh, you know what? On second thought, we're not going to keep everything in the house and try to snag that next fight. You know what I mean? It would be just like that, motherfucker, and then grab all those belts and hold them hostage.
Well,
so I hope that don't happen.
I love the fact that Kambosos has said, yeah, look, I'm an Australian. I'm a world champion, but I want to defend my titles in my hometown. So if he says, hey, look, I want to create a business for myself, and I know the economic ramifications of not fighting in America, and he's willing to accept them, that's great. Because, look, no one can ever tell George Kambosos, hey, you didn't make any sacrifices to come to America. Yeah, he did. He went through a lot of issues because of the worldwide pandemic, like I told you about, the quarantines, being self-isolated for a couple of weeks at a time. I hope that he tells everyone, you want these belts, you have an opportunity. See you in Sydney. See you in Australia. We could do a minute work concert in between. Pack your Vegemite sandwiches, as far as I'm concerned. So I hope to God that for his sake, that the decision makers allow him to leverage his position for as long as he can.
Who's his promoter, Steve?
His promoter is Lou DiBella. His manager is Peter Kahn. And who knows what decisions they're going to make. I got to call Peter Kahn a little bit later, see what their plans are. But George Kambosos has earned the lottery. And I know it was a pretty rough fight on both ends. I would hope he has 2-3 fights next year. I think it's a great story. And as we've seen with Kostyazu's son, if you bring out a major talent in boxing in that part of the world, they will draw. And I think the expansion of the market for boxing, having some events where you could do 60, 70, 80,000 people in that part of the world. You did what, about 45, 50,000 with Jeff Horn, Manny Pacquiao. I think be great for the sport. But George Kambosos has earned this. We just can't talk about the downfall of Teofimo Lopez here. I think we should certainly talk about the young man that made this happen for himself. He won that fight.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to give him credit. But unfortunately, somebody in the chat room, shout out to the Axiom, via the Super Chat says, Teofimo is the new Adrian Broner. I wouldn't exactly say the new, I wouldn't say that because Broner never had a good win as the one Lopez had over Lomachenko, but I get what he's saying. I think it would be more fair to say that it seems like right now he's very Jermaine Taylor-ish. He got that good win over Hopkins, although he never got the rematch. Lopez never gave him the rematch though, so it's not that the exact same comparison, but there's a little similarity there. Hopefully he bounces back.
That's an interesting one. Interesting.
Well, I was going to add, too, now that you just told me that Lou DiBella is his manager stateside here, well, that would probably put the kibosh on anything PBC related after what Al did to him. I'm sure he isn't going to bend over backwards to help out the PBC fighters. That was my only point on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, but look, money talks. And look, I would hope that the people representing George Kambosos do what's best for him and not leverage a network deal for their platform or their promotion. We've seen that happen a lot. But I'll probably get a few more answers as I talk to Peter Kahn later on today. But great. By the way, guys, before I get out of here, I know you got a lot of calls. Who did you guys have winning the Fulton Figueroa fight? I thought that was a really, really nip and tuck battle.
It was like a tie. I said the pressure Figueroa was putting, man, since the beginning, I thought could have won him the fight in my eyes.
Interesting. Okay. I actually had Fulton by 2, 115, 113.
Fulton,
I fell asleep. Sorry. I fell asleep halfway through it. It was a good fight. I was just tired from the day, but I also thought, what's his name? Russell got fortunate. He could have easily lost that fight.
I actually thought Aleem was a little bit fortunate too. The two A sides and the two co-features on Showtime did not have great nights. It's interesting. If Figueroa does not want to make 122 again and face Fulton, I would love to see Danny Roman face Fulton. I think that'd be an excellent fight technically and in terms of two-way action. So, that's basically the way I look. It was a good night of boxing, though.
Hey, Steve,
can you do a Bob Arum impression?
Oh my God, this is what they get for fucking around with Triller. Now we gotta clean up this fucking mess.
Hey, Steve, if you can, stay on the line for just a couple more minutes, man, because we have phone calls, but I think we can get to them quickly. And let's see if somebody has a question for you here, because we got questions for you too as well. Let's see. 254, you're on the air. 254, what's on your mind?
What's up, guys?
Oh, it's Gypsy again. What's going on, man?
Yo. Yeah, nothing. I can't fall asleep. I'm watching your podcast.
All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hang up on you right now. I'm gonna send you the invite, and I'm gonna send Pete the invite too because he wants in. And just one more phone call, and then we get back to the panel. All right, man. Send
Fuck
you the invite.
Pete. Leave Pete alone.
Leave Pete. He doesn't like Greeks. Okay. Last call here. 773. You're on the air. 773. What's on your mind?
It's a great day to be alive. I know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. It's a great day in the neighborhood. That's how I feel as a Teofimo Lopez got his ass whooped.
Oh.
Made a fool of himself. Sore loser crying at 10-2. I won. Him and his clown father. Oh, man. That's it. You just got to be patient, guys. You just got to be patient. 2 years. We had to listen with this clown running his mouth for 2 years. But just be patient, and justice will be served. And it was at the form of the Greek Australian. That's it, baby. The ancient Greeks always teach us a lesson.
Kevin, sounds like you've been hanging out. Sounds like you've been hanging out with Teofimo Lopez Sr., man. Hidden from that same bottle. It's 3:43 for Pete's sakes on the East Coast. What are you doing?
No, I'm drunk on revenge. I'm drunk on revenge today. Bucho. BDA.
Bucho? What's the matter with you?
But I will talk about the fight real quick. I'll talk about the fight. You see what Kambosos did? He ain't calm you on the center line, chin up in the air. That's not Kambosos. Kambosos is a really trained, well, technical, high IQ, smart fighter. He's not going to do that. And he's not Lomachenko, 5'2", little hobbit man with the tiny little feet and the tiny little hands. That's not Kambosos either. He's long, rangy, and he knows that he can fight on the outside. So it was the same thing with that Nakatani. Long, rangy guy caused him hell. Ain't that a big difference when you ain't fighting some little hobbit man who should be fighting at 126 pounds and you should be fighting at 145, 140 pounds, whatever. Big difference.
Well, listen, K-Dog, you brought up some great points. Excellent points. I mean, you only bring the most of excellent of points. So I give a shout out to you, Kevin. Let's see if you keep your Caller of the Year award, because I know Tin Man's catching up there. So, but with this type of energy, you can't go wrong, man. All right, listen, Kevin, we got to move on. Thank you for your call.
Caller of the Year, king of the calls.
There you go. Give yourself some more props.
Hey, shout out to Greece, baby, because Volkanovski, the pound for pound best fighter in the UFC, he's Greek Macedonian. And from Australia, and then you got this Kambosos. He's a Greek Australian, and he just shocked the world. Huge upset. So shout out to them Greek boys. They're doing it. Woo-hoo!
Take it easy, Kevin. Thank you for your call. Keep the party going until you can't party no more. Gee, I hope he doesn't hurt himself. All right. You know what? Listen, you talked about Kambosos. You got to give Kambosos his credit. He went in there. He didn't walk away without a couple of scratches himself too. It was a hard fight. Now the question becomes, if Haney doesn't succumb to the upset of the year thing here going on, Haney versus Kambosos, how does that go?
Interesting. Good fight.
Haney's gonna be the better boxer. Obviously, he's not gonna get hit nearly as much, but I know Haney has a lot of issues making weight. That back end of that fight's going to be tough. And Kambosos, he's a pretty good volume puncher with good hand speed. I would make Haney the favorite, but I wouldn't make it a huge favorite either. Kambosos, this is the type of fight after last night, guys. He's going to be a better fighter for this. A lot of confidence flowing with that guy now.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a type of forging by fire type scenario. Because a lot of people kept saying, wow, he struggled with Selby, which I didn't think he struggled that much. I thought it was a competitive fight, but I thought he won it. And Mickey Bay, say what you want about the guy, but he actually does imitate or resemble Teofimo Lopez a little bit. You know, they're trying to do the shoulder roll, counter punch one shot at a time. So I think those were good learning experiences for him. Did he look sensational and scintillating in those fights? Not really, but it helped him out. And you saw here, he showed a bunch of intangibles, stamina, chin, second wind. But yeah, but Devin Haney though, oof. That jab and that superior defense of his. Would it be fair to say that Devin Haney has better skills, and when I say skills, I mean better mechanics and technique than Lopez?
He's more sound. I mean, look, he's a pure boxer, very sharp, and when he's on, he's very tough to hit. He's almost, I don't want to say a right-handed version of Shakur Stevenson, but he's one of these young men. It's very difficult to hit him clean, and I don't think I've ever seen him hit by a combination. The biggest issue for him right now is how much longer can he really make 135? I know the second half of those fights are very tough for him, and he's growing out of his body. And to be fair, look, Teofimo probably grew out of 135 also, but again, they caused this themselves. They could have easily taken care of this mandatory in the first half of the year if they didn't go to war with Arum. You know what's interesting is every time that Teofimo talks about what Triller did to him, he keeps forgetting the fact that he is the one that got COVID, that canceled that event in June. That event was going to take place. I know a lot of people that were in the fight hotel that week. So, you know, look, what's done is done. Unfortunately, as it relates to those four guys that we talk about, I don't know how much closer we are to any of them fighting one another, to be honest with you.
And wasn't he demanding, well, I know he said when he supposedly patched everything up with Top Rank going forward, I thought they said that he was expecting everything to be after this point going on pay-per-view. Like, so like, yeah, he's gonna have to rethink a few things.
Hey, Jimmy, what do they say about the best laid plans of mice and men? Things change. Things change. Look, his stock was like Apple or Nike stock last year. Now it's gone down to Enron. Things change.
Man, in just a year. Last year he was the toast of the Lopez was the toast of the town, and then whoopsie daisy. But again, it's
greed, hubris, and ignorance. I transfer to those three things.
And delusion. Don't forget delusion. That's a very big part of it, Jimmy. Delusion. But anyway, guys, I got some stuff to do. I just wanted to check in with you guys, man. Say hello.
All right,
Steve, thanks for calling. Steve. Always awesome when you call, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, Steve. Thank you for calling in, man.
Thanks.
Don't forget to check out Steve on the 3 knockdown rule. You can check him out on Twitter at Steve323. He's always putting updates in there. Snack.com. He's got his own corner, K9 Corner, and he's on The Blaze. Right, Jimmy? That's what it's called, right? The website?
Yes, with Jason Whitlock. No, it's The Blaze. It's a media corporation.
Right.
Jason Whitlock's a bunch of different people, but he's doing not just boxing. It's social commentary, a lot of different things. It's excellent. It really is.
Keep your chin up there, Steve, because that's where they try to get you, man, when you start getting into politics and social commentary. Oof, ay, Madonna me.
I got your back, Steve. You can say whatever you want.
you do Italian good, brother. I got to tell you. Being a Guinea, the way that shit flows off, the way that flows out of your mouth. Yeah,
Jimmy, he's Italian. This guy's Italian.
He is. I know he is.
What Italian? All right, I'm trying to get Pete on board here.
That's his fake accent right there. You see that accent? It's fake.
Yeah, it's fake. By the way, Gypsy, I can't find you on the Discord, so send me a message on Discord so I can see you, and then that way I can send you the link. Real quick, let's go to...
Yeah, it's the Gypsy.
Let's go to a couple more phone calls.
Pete?
Let's go to a phone call here, because somebody's been waiting here. Call in afterwards. 407, you're on the air. 407, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Chicas? I'm back.
Chicas?
Oh, yeah. We're all talking about Kambosos Haney, but do you guys think the same issue that happens to Teofimo with the weight cuts and all that stuff, it could happen with Haney as well?
Jojo Diaz.
What did he say? The weight cut?
He's asking if
because of the weight cut. Yeah, he's asking.
Jojo.
Well, yes, especially after Steve just said that it's becoming an actual thing for him. Those last few pounds are getting real difficult. again, I can't stress that enough, man. That wins you. You know that. I recognize you had to shed weight, and Gonzalo, it's rough. Those last fucking 5 pounds.
That
hell.
kid, honestly, that kid is a welterweight. He's not a lightweight. Let's be honest with that, first of all. And then the next thing was, honestly, if they fight, I think Kambosos is at least gonna knock him down as well. Because honestly, I do think he's a much bigger fighter than Linares, at least at this moment. Because let's face it, Linares is not at his best anymore.
Yeah, man. I mean, and Jojo Diaz is tough. You got to give him that. I don't know if his
BJ, let me
dimensions.
ask you a question. What are the chances you think Lomachenko gets that fight?
Which fight?
If he beats Comey,
against who?
The Kambosos.
Well, can I tell you, I think it'd be pretty high, the reason why I recognize, because like you said, he'd be coming off 2 good wins, and then if he has Top Rank behind him, remember, like, it's going to be someone willing to travel. Let's cut Haney out. Let's cut fucking Davis out. They're not going to go to Australia.
No, they're not built that way.
But exactly, they're not built that way. Lomachenko, Usyk, these guys are fucking never fight at home. They're every fight's a road game. So he'll have no problem going to Australia. His name alone down there is recognized in Australia. So I would think, and if Bob's willing to throw up the coin and get those belts back, because I'm sure Bob wants those belts back under the Top Rank umbrella, because there's leverage and power with those belts. That's the reason why they don't end up on the PPC island.
Well, let the caller go ahead. Yes, and then go ahead, caller.
Yeah, not only that, but Hearn already said that he wants to do the Haney fight if he wins at Las Vegas. So we can throw the Australia fight out of the window. And sorry, I was having static and stuff, but recognize, who are you talking about? Lomi having good chances with who?
No, I was saying the chances of Lomachenko getting that fight. Like, I think that the reason why I asked that question, because there is a good chance Kambosos wants his next fight. Of course, money.
No shit, we cut off here.
Hello.
Sorry about
that. Recognize.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
All,
yeah, sorry, I dropped out here from that. All right, but caller, what did you say, caller? You recognize the question, please.
What I asked you, BDA, was what are the chances Lomachenko gets to fight with Kambosos next?
Oh yeah, well Jimmy answered that,
Assuming
right?
he beats Comey. Assuming he beats Comey.
All right, Jimmy. I think Jimmy answered that one.
I think we're gonna get an undisputed lightweight before that.
All right. Well, listen. I mean, all we can do is hope and see, man. Hopefully they arrange that, and there's no more tomfoolery abroad here, or afoot rather. Well, listen, caller. We gotta move on.
Yep.
We gotta move on, caller. Thank you
and
for your
another
call.
thing that they can do in the meantime.
Yes.
Sorry, but was Lomachenko versus Shakur Stevenson for a mandatory spot.
Oh, hey, that could work. That could work as well. Listen, there's options, but they all have to make it happen, man, because we already saw a year and a half of nothing happening, and then Lopez getting upset here. So, caller, we got to move on, but thank you for your call. Catch you in the next one, all right, man?
In BDA, I would think he would want Lopez. If he was to fight Haney, I think he would want some belts on the line. You know what I mean? So it would have to be after. I mean, Shakur Stevens, because they're both in the same house. But Bob would want, say, if Loma went and took those belts back, then have him fight against Shakur.
Shakur, yeah. You see, that's what I was going to say. If especially if Lomachenko looks really impressive, Nakatani style, to Comey, there's no way Shakur Stevens is going to take that fight next.
Well, man,
all I gotta say,
if he had belts around his waist, maybe, because then the pot's a little higher and the stakes are higher.
all I gotta say is, don't worry about it. Lomachenko will get those belts back because Kambosos is gonna beat the shit out of Haney, and that fight's gonna happen afterwards. Kambosos ain't ducking no one. This ain't fucking the queens over there, the TOs, the Haneys, and he ain't ducking nobody. That dude's for real, and he will be. If you bring Loma the Lopez that fought Loma, he'll still whoop his ass. This guy, you know why he was so confident? Because of Pacquiao. That's the only reason why.
Well,
I mean, besides his own abilities.
Hundreds, as Manny Pacquiao put it, hundreds of rounds they've sparred. Hundreds.
And never once, exactly, bro. And never once did he get dropped by Pacquiao. A small dude like that. Yeah, because if he got dropped, he got kicked out of the sparring. That sounds like those are the say.
That sounds like Athenian lies. I don't trust those Athenians.
I don't know, bro. You know why he got dropped?
Pacquiao is professional enough that he doesn't load up on his punches. Even if he's punching hard, he's not pulling his punches. But you're not punching through when you're sparring. You basically, how it is in sparring, you're throwing your punches. You're trying to get your speed there without the whip on it, if that makes sense to anybody. So put it this way, like good people who know boxing, I mean, who've been boxing a long time, they know instantly if somebody's sparring them or if somebody's trying to fucking knock them out. There's just a total difference in the way the punch is thrown. You know, that's why they say you can spar forever and it doesn't recreate an actual fight.
Yeah, that's true, but you never know with them around.
I'm not taking away from the fucking what he learned. That's invaluable. You can't put a fucking price tag on hundreds of rounds with Manny Pacquiao. Even if you lose every one of them, that's like going to school. You're learning shit. If you're smart enough, you read it.
Yeah, well, brother. It's, the thing is though, like with Pacquiao and him, I'm pretty sure with some rounds, Pacquiao put it to him, and he took, and that's how I knew this fool's chin has to be solid. It has to be. Because even Mikey Garcia is a big dude. And by the way, Mikey Garcia could beat someone like Teofimo Lopez, by the way, because of his skill set.
Maybe a prime Garcia when he wasn't fat.
Prime Garcia, yeah. Let's say prime Garcia. It's just, Teo is a hype job, just like Tank is.
Oh.
He got lucky with Lomachenko. I'm going to tell you straight up. He got lucky with Lomachenko. He did get lucky because of the shoulder. And that's why that shit happened. Because his ass would have gotten stopped if Lomachenko put it on him from the beginning. Oh, he won't even pass. He would probably get past 10.
Well, perhaps now we know why he never wanted that rematch. Let's go real quick. Let's go real quick to 305 here, real quick. 305, you're on the air. 305, what's on your mind? 305, you're on the line. Going once. 305, going twice.
305, come through for us.
He didn't. He couldn't. 818, you're on the air. 818. 818, you're on the air. 818, what's on your mind?
Hey, hi, Butcher. BBA, Jimmy, Recognize, and Gonzalo, I think.
Salute.
Hey, man, I want to call in and talk about the Figueroa fight and versus Bolson.
Sure.
Man, that whole... I thought Figueroa won, man. That whole card had suspicious decisions, in my opinion. This is like every week or almost every month with PBC, man. It's shady decisions, and I feel like, why doesn't anybody ever bring this up? It's consistent at this point. I don't know. It's weird to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, I thought... You go ahead, Jimmy, sorry.
I was going to say, the house fighters never lose with the PBC. Ever notice that? Never. You know, the kid who fought Russell, right? Yeah. I think Russell, honestly, at best was a draw. I think that little fucking Mexican kid did excellent against him. But Russell, obviously, is the kid Al's got his, future on. So I'm saying there's no way they're going to give this fucking, fight the other kid. But to that point, PBC shady as fuck.
Yeah, caller, who did you thought, you thought Figueroa won the fight?
Yeah, I thought he won, man, because Fulton, he can't punch. He has no power. Every punch he threw, Figueroa just walked through it, man. It was kind of sad. So I don't even, and he was getting rocked too. I don't know. That's what I saw.
I'm with you, caller. I thought Figueroa beat him.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
No, I was gonna say it's just like I'm seeing because I'm watching the fight and every shot, even when Fulton lands flush, it's like it was like a pity pat. Like Figueroa just looked at him like, "Is that really it?" and just kept going forward. It was kind of sad that this guy is supposed to be a pound for pound or a future pound for pound. He's gonna get smoked by MJ or anyway, man. This is a joke.
Oh, all right. Well, there you have it, man. I thought Figueroa Fulton was close, man. But if I rewatch it, maybe it's interesting how a lot of people were giving Crawford points for those body shots he was landing against Porter. But now, apparently, these judges decided not to give Figueroa any. I mean, I know it's not the same judges, but all of a sudden, it seems body work didn't count as much as the shots upstairs. So, it just goes to show you the judging criteria, because Figueroa was working that body overtime. I'm surprised Fulton had that much energy in the last round. They were both extremely well conditioned.
Yeah, I was surprised too. You know what? I'm gonna take back what I said. I don't think he's Fulton is a bad fighter, but I feel like him and Figueroa are like the same level. They're pretty good, but they're not anything special. They're just on that PVC island, you know. And I just think, from what I've seen, guys outside their promotion, they're just way better, man.
Maybe, man. We'll see. It remains. At least they fought each other and they put on a tremendous fight. Can't really ask for more than that. At least they didn't avoid each other. Well, listen, 818, we got to go, but thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right, man?
All right, thanks, man.
Have a good Sunday. Take it easy.
Thank you.
All right, we got a lot going on here. Before we get to that, shout out to Official Scorecard Boxing for his contribution to the Super Chat. Official says, Lopez Sr. should check himself into a rehab together with Pig Boy. Oh, well, you know what? It wouldn't be the worst idea in the world for some people out there to get help. And, I commend people that do. And I wish them the best, even though I may dislike them. And shout out to, real quick, there was somebody else that contributed. Who was it? Hold on, real quick. Oh, yeah. Generic Villa fan says, Tin Man brings that Bengali heat. Oh, that Bengali heat. Absolutely, Generic. Thank you for your call, and I'm glad you enjoyed listening to Tin Man as much as we enjoy listening to his calls. All right, fellas, we got a lot going on. We got Pete. We got Gypsy jumping in. You guys take over. Try not to talk over each other. And let her rip.
First, can I start it off, or you guys want to say something?
No, you can leave now. Bye. What I was going to say was, I'm kidding. Go ahead. I'm just kidding.
All right. I mean, it's up to you guys. If you wanted to start to say something, I'll shut up. Yeah.
Fire away, Gypsy. Fire away.
Yeah. I was gonna say, they're discrediting because he was inactive. I didn't see Teofimo Lopez in a bad shape or whatever, drained and all that stuff. I saw an explosive, determined Teofimo Lopez going for a KO because he underestimated him. But I'm pretty sure after the fourth round he didn't underestimate him. He already knew. Actually, at the first round he didn't underestimate his ass. He knew he was in a fight after he got dropped. It's just the style of this dude and the speed and the chin that he has. He knows. He knows that even if he comes back and he tries to do a rematch, he got no shot. Zero against beating this dude. Only people of elite status. I'm not saying Devin Haney doesn't have he has pretty good skills. It's just he doesn't have the chin, and he's gonna get countered. And when he gets countered, Kambosos is gonna start walking him down. Unlike he didn't do it. He didn't do it to what's his name, Lopez, but he will walk down Devin Haney like he did Shelby. That's what he's going to do. But Lomachenko, on the other hand, that's a different story. Lomachenko is going to throw angles, going to make it much more difficult for someone like Kambosos, but he's going to give him a tough fight. He's going to lose most. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to be a wide margin of the rounds, and Lomo's going to pull it off. It's going to be the toughest fight of Lomo. I'm going to tell you right now. It's not going to be an easy one.
And just but what like what Steve said by and I said too by ring rust, when you're a counter puncher and it's not even that noticeable, definitely not noticeable. I'm not saying anybody here is, but to casual, they're not going to pick up on it. But a counter, that if you're not sharp and fighting regularly, going through camps regularly, again, especially if you're a counter puncher, because then it's even more important, that split second, that's all it takes. It makes that split second gives the guy enough time, Kambosos in this point, to pull back enough to catch those big rights out at the end of the punch instead of in the danger zone. So even if his head goes back and it's all right hand to the face, if it's at the end of the punch, it's at half the fucking power it is at the 6-inch range. And that's the reason why when he come in behind the jab, he hurt him when he hit him up close.
Gotcha, Jimmy. But when was the last fight of Kambosos besides this one?
Before Teofimo and Loma, correct. He was on a longer layoff than Teo, and Kambosos is a counterpuncher too. He just fought his fight, and Teo he's a counterpuncher as well. He wants to catch you in the exchange or counterpunch, and for whatever reason he went for it in round one, Nothing wrong with that. I mean, Tyson, it worked for Tyson Fury in that second Wilder fight. Obviously, caught everybody off guard. No one thought that was going to happen.
So
and
Pete,
it worked out, but
the longer layoff. Kambosos?
Kambosos, absolutely Kambosos, absolutely.
I mean, that solves everything. I mean, you can't say anything about that after that.
That's right.
Well, but the thing is, also with timing is wanting to know to do certain things. Like he was lunging in with those punches too. He wasn't setting them up with the jab. He was just trying to one shot him, and that was he has a quick feet, that kid Kambosos, and he was able just to dot back out of it. But again, remember in the 10th round, I mean, if he would have caught him with that shot in the early rounds, he probably would have put him away. It just, he was probably a little punched up. Maybe it was the 9th round when he had Kambosos like on Bambi legs for a second. And again, the timing, you can actually go in and close the show. You're accurate with your punches. And even actually both of them missed a lot of punches too. Prime example, right after he got up off the ground, off the canvas, Lopez, Kambosos ran in and fucking try to just throw up a big right hand. They both threw a right hand. They both missed. Those are the little things that don't happen when you're fighting regularly. You know what I mean? The fights aren't as sloppy.
Actually, I got what you're saying. It makes sense on both ends. I didn't think Kambosos was as sharp as I normally see him too. Like what I saw with Shelby, like the sharpness, the composure, the knowing when to hit and when not to hit, and when to like duck and weave and throw his shots. He was a little bit off in sharpness. Yeah. Lopez too. Lopez had a little bit as well, the same likewise. But this pick was not based off of the fact that they're both inactive and they're kind of not sharp. I was like, if they were at their peak, at their best, who would you pick? And I picked Kambosos because I know he was going to do that to him, based off of those.
Man. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you're one of the few guys. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But guys, what surprised me was really in the aftermath where Lopez said he believes he won the fight. His father said the same thing, and then they don't want a rematch. God. Do you think they're going to change your tune during the week or in the coming weeks?
Hell no.
If they have a relationship with honesty, they might say something. He might tweet out, "Hey, after watching the fight." But
are you kidding me?
I got my ass whooped.
They're not going to walk that back. You crazy or what?
No, but not that they lost. Not that they won. But when I'm saying the rematch, Are they going to change their tune in wanting a rematch?
They can want it all they want. I mean, this is different in the fact that he's a mandatory for the IBF. He's a mandatory challenger. He won. He took the belt. Now it's on to the next person in line is in line now, and that's just for the IBF and that for their titles too. So there's no rematch here. Eddie Hearn's not the promoter for either fighter. It's not gonna. It's just not. It's complete. Recognize said something earlier. Oh, by the way, what's up, guys? I was listening to you cleaning fish earlier, and I couldn't help but think of Bob Arum when I looked at these grouper heads. I was big fish heads. Right. But no, I mean, recognize said it earlier about like basically you get a guy that's like just hand fed for a long period of time, and then you put him in a fair fight, it tends to throw him off. Last night was about as uninterested a promoter. I mean, Eddie Hearn's the promoter for neither. He won this purse bid, and I saw nothing last night. Eddie Hearn's got no motivation whatsoever to favor either one of these guys.
No dog.
He just won a bid and made some money on the fight. So I mean, last night you really did see just a fair. Both guys come in and prepare how they wanted, come in and fight how they wanted. But I just think I agree with Gypsy. Can't believe I just said that, but I agree with Gypsy in terms of I don't see Tio as, this whole big for 135. He makes 135 because he wins, and he makes money fighting at 135. So he's only interested in going to 40 when it comes to not fighting Loma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he barely took a picture with those belts before he's moved up to 40. Now, meanwhile, he goes and gets into this, pushes this fight to a purse bid, and he's going to teach Bob Arum a lesson. He wastes 13 months doing it, making no money while he's out for 13 months, spending money. I can't think of a bigger way to burn money than getting married and having a kid. So he's
actually well out of times now.
He's spending every dollar that he could fucking spend in the meantime, and he's not making any income. And so the point of the matter is that when you're idle like that, you tend to get into trouble. You make bad decisions.
Lost all his momentum too, Pete. Right?
He lost all the momentum from the Loma fight, no doubt. He beat Loma straight up. There's no two ways
you know
about
what?
that.
I wanted to say something about that. So remind me to jump right back into that about how Lopez can rebound. But before we get to that, let's go to the phone lines here real quick. 917, you're on the air. 917, what's on your mind? 917, you're on the air. Going once.
Hello?
Yes, 917, you're on the air. Go ahead,
hello?
please. Yes. Go ahead,
sorry.
please.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, just wanted to say the fight was crazy last night. Believe it or not, I believed in Kambosos for a while. Probably biased because I'm also Greek, so I was very proud of this guy. But it was kind of interesting to see how the speed and I guess you could say the precision of Kambosos was the difference here, because everybody talks about Teal's power, but there is a UFC fighter, Israel Adesanya, who had a famous kind of snippet where he said, "Everyone has power, I have precision," and I feel like you really saw that last night, because that overhand right just kept landing in the same spot. It didn't, he didn't drop him after the first round, but it was landing, and the jab was going right in his face. And this is a smaller man we're talking about. Teal was easily 10 to 12 pounds heavier last night. You could see it in his shoulders. His upper body is, he was getting manhandled by a smaller dude.
There you go. Yeah, that's
epic.
a succinct way of putting it there, 917. And hey, good for you, man, for the Greeks getting a victory. You're not Australian too either, right? I don't hear that accent there.
Greek American, but we Greeks, no matter what, we recognize each other.
There you go. You can't have it all in life.
Absolutely.
All right, well, listen, 917, thank you for your call. Call back again next time and have yourself a good evening. All right, man? Take it easy.
Thanks, man. Bye.
I think I'm going to order some egg lemon soup with all this Greek talk going on.
The world is Kambosos' gyro right now.
Oyster. Yeah. All right, let's
it's
go
a big
to
souvlaki, and he's cooking it with a Pall Mall hanging out of his mouth.
Let's
I
go
can speak for
to
Greeks, man. They're hard-headed. They're very, very tough. But it's like.
But hold on, real
go
quick.
ahead.
Just because we got another phone call here. 267, you're on the air. 267, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up? It's Philly Irish.
Oh, Philly Irish, man. What's on your mind?
I don't understand what the hell have they been working on this whole time, because in the front, I'm gonna be honest with you, Lomachenko really showed the blueprint how to beat Teofimo. He has no inside game, and he can't fight backing up, and the same problems arose again against Kambosos, and Kambosos was able to keep something behind a jab the whole night, and it landed. I just don't understand. I don't think Teofimo's dad is good enough to be a trainer, because the whole time in the corner, he hasn't given advice. All he does is cuss his ass off and everything. So he's more like a hype man than a trainer. But I just don't understand, how the hell did this guy even got away with a decision over Lomachenko in the first place? He's not that good of a fighter.
Well, listen, I mean, when you're down...
Can I say something to the caller? Can I say something? The Lopez that you saw would have knocked out Devin Haney.
The Lopez that you saw would have knocked out...
You
Caller,
saw
do you agree with
yesterday would have knocked out Devin Haney.
Caller, do you agree with
It
that?
would have knocked him out. Just off sheer power. Just the sheer power.
Okay, Gypsy, let him answer. Gypsy, let him answer. Go ahead, caller.
If he would have been able to catch Devin Haney, yeah, but the way Devin Haney fights, I think this Lenoir that fought Devin Haney would have beat this Teofimo yesterday. This Teofimo actually didn't do crap yesterday, but get a knockdown in the fight. I had the fight scored 9-3, Kambosos. Other than that knockdown, I see Kambosos outboxing this dude mostly the whole fight, because he was able to bring something behind that jab all night long, and he was actually. It was a terrific boxing job, and I never thought he could keep it up for 12 rounds, except for the 10th round when he got dropped at, but he went right back through it and everything, and it was superb. I can't believe that.
But Kohler, to be fair, though,
was being a sore loser.
Yeah, definitely. But to be fair, Lopez did land his share of good shots. I mean, Kambosos didn't look scratched up for nothing. I mean, he was in a firefight. But you're right. At the end of the day, Kambosos outboxed him. This whole year was one big waste. You can't put it any other way for Lopez. And hopefully he learns a lesson. Hopefully at 140 he gets a little rejuvenation and he has a renaissance. Because it's not out of the question, but it's up to him, man.
Linares would have got starched in that 10th round that Kambosos got dropped on. He would have never got back up. He would have been over. It would have been over. His legs would have been gone. It would have been over. Linares is a weak individual. He's a fragile fighter. I'm not going to say weak individual. Sorry. A fragile fighter compared to two guys.
Problem there.
Yeah.
He should have finished him in the 10th round, and he backed off. And that was a big mistake. I was like, why the hell didn't he try to finish the dude?
I think it was a spent bullet.
Yeah, Jimmy.
I think he was punched out a little by then. Yeah.
Because every time he got him hurt, he got hit with a bomb. That guy ain't gonna go down easy. And then on top of that, he played it safe. He went around the ring, kept on holding until he recovered. It ain't easy to stop a guy like that. Is it easy to stop Lomachenko? Who's done it?
Exactly.
It's not easy.
Yeah. Well, listen, Philly Irish. Anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
What's up?
No, go ahead.
And 140, he gets stopped by Josh Taylor, and I think Regis Prograis beats him. I think the best chance he got to be the top 3 fighter is Jose Morales.
Jose Morales. All right. Well, maybe, man. I mean, we'll see. But hopefully, listen, I just want the best. We just want the best fighting the best, and hopefully Lopez can rebound from this. Not for nothing, but he did create excitement for these past 2.5 years. So hopefully he bounces back. But anyway, listen, Philly, thank you for calling in, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, man? Call back next time.
All right, thanks.
Take it easy, man. All right, so listen, I just wanted to say something real quick, man. Ask you the same question I asked 2 hours ago. Lopez, the word exposed gets thrown around a lot. Now, Lopez lost, and I said, he got exposed. Then I said, but he actually did very well. I mean, Kambosos had to redline it just to make it the distance and get that win. On the other hand, Lopez is the bigger guy, supposedly the better guy as well. Not just, bigger, better as well. Power, explosiveness, hand speed. And he got beat by this guy. So would it be fair in a way to say that he did get exposed a little bit, or?
Yep.
His mental strength and his ability to face adversity, real adversity, got tested. He got tested, and he didn't necessarily. He fell short last night in mentally. My opinion. I don't think it was a physical issue. He was bigger. He was taller. He had range. He had plenty of speed. He had plenty of power.
He wasn't taller, but I get.
Tio wasn't taller than Kambosos?
No, he's not.
I think he's only listed at half an inch taller, if I'm wrong. If I'm mistaken.
He's taller. He's taller. He's got more range. He's got more power. He's stronger.
I don't see him as taller, though.
You didn't think Teofimo? All right, so he wasn't a half inch. The same height, whatever.
His back is twice as wide.
Yeah,
it was
like bigger, stronger kid. Bigger, stronger kid.
I don't see millionaires as millionaires. I just say they got more money than me. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The thing about it is, though, but here's the problem. Here's the real issue. Tio abandoned his own style last night. He did not use his jab whatsoever. If you have more range on a smaller guy, of course you neutralize him with your jab. And he was throwing right hand bombs with that wide stance of his, way too wide. And he was ending every one of them with his head hanging out there. He just hanging there. So a guy like Kambosos, who's also a counterpuncher, just like Tio, I thought the fight was going to be a little bit boring at first because it was going to be a standoff. Two counterpunchers get to be a little bit boring sometimes, Like who's going to go first here? Like who's going to give the other one an opportunity? But Tio came right out and had success. But with his head hanging out there like that, Kambosos a natural counterpuncher, and Teofimo not a natural pressure fighter or whatever you want to call it. he pull countered with his right hand and could not miss, and he kept throwing it. It dropped him, so he got his respect in the first round, right? He did enough in the first round to get Teofimo's respect for the rest of the fight. Teofimo had no problem physically, no problem. He didn't gas out. He had to take rounds off because of that what he did in the first 2 rounds, but he wouldn't have been able to go in the 10th round like that if 135 was the problem. But Kambosos when he stopped and started trading with Teo. All right, I know you want to go out like a Spartan, but Leonidas got fucking ran over at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not the point.
You know what was impressive, Pete? You know what was impressive was that after he got dropped and he was hurt, right? He comes out in the 11th and the 12th round and he outworks him. Again, he's just like fucking beating him up. Look, I'm not saying Teofimo obviously fought back. He was desperate, but at the same time, he was starting to be cautious because I think he started feeling that Kambosos could hurt him again, maybe drop him again.
Anytime Teo was coming forward and Kambosos was countering, Teofimo was in jeopardy for sure, and he felt it.
And he was ripping some body shots. And Kambosos was ripping some nice shots to fucking Lopez's body too. Some real nice ones.
The check hooks were slappy. Yeah, I mean, let's just be real. They weren't really doing much. The body shots were doing a little bit. I thought Teo was, but every time Teo tried to go either downstairs to the body or throw a lead right, which did land. When Kambosos tried to trade with him, the bigger, stronger guy tried to trade with him and hook off with him, he got fucked up. But as soon as we went back to just stepping back at a distance, letting Teo lean his head over his front foot and teeing off on him, it was a no-brainer.
You know what, though? It's interesting, though. When Kambosos got dropped...
If you run into a counterpuncher's punch, you make it twice as hard, right? Like the shot that Pacquiao ran into. If you dive into it like Teo was doing, and Kambosos throws as hard as he can, well, we're in business.
Kambosos was hurt, man. When he was stumbling after... I forgot about this part. When he was stumbling back, I said, oh, boy, he's in trouble, man. I don't know how he... Well, like Jimmy said, too, Teofimo Lopez at the end of that round was a bit of a spent bullet, too, because I mean, it's hard to finish a guy when you've been getting hit a lot as well with head-snapping shots. You're right, Pete. Those left hooks were slappish, but that right hand was landing hard, and you could tell Lopez was like, he had a look on his face. What's going on? This ain't supposed to happen. He never recovered. Now, I do believe the first round set the table for everything, because if he wouldn't have gotten dropped and he would have started off like he usually does, like Gonzalo said, like, with his usual style, counterpunching, maybe things go a different way. But again, the only way we would know that is via a rematch. Now, before we continue, let me just give a shout out to Vladi V, I believe, who just donated the super chat. Says, 1 uppercut landed equals broken nose. Lopez got schooled by jab, left hook, jab, right hand. Basics in boxing, in my opinion. And while Teo's beta male emotional daddy spewing nonsense in the corner. All while Teo's beta male emotional daddy was spewing nonsense in the corner. Well, shout out to Vladi V for his contribution. Really appreciate it. What do you guys think about that? Is too much being made of Lopez Sr.'s lack of instructions?
No. That corner was a disaster. And I don't know if you guys know this, but in the Lomachenko fight, the Lopez camp would not allow microphones in the corner. They specifically just denied access to have a camera and a mic in the corner. Not a camera, but a microphone. On the Top Rank broadcast, not the ESPN, but on the Top Rank broadcast, the anchor said that. The host of that show said that.
Interesting.
So you really didn't get a chance to see what was going on in that corner. And in this fight last night, you got to see, I don't know what to call it, man. I don't know, delusion or what, but like, you just need a guy to give you a viewpoint that you're not seeing. If you can't see what's going on yourself because you're in the fight, you need a guy who's watching out and giving you
it's called delusion, bro. It's called delusion.
Yeah, delusion. You want to call it that? That's fine. But after he came back after the second or third round, he's screaming at him to knock him out. Why haven't you knocked this guy out yet? He just got set on his fucking ass. He's getting counterpunched. He's telling him to go harder. Like, he's not telling him just to sit back and fight your style. Like the first 7 rounds of that Lomachenko fight, did you see him going after Lomachenko like a banshee like that? He just let him circle. He's got his feet planted. It's like a Danny Garcia.
Let me explain
run around and chase you around.
Let me explain how delusional his dad is. He's talking about at some point, maybe 4 years from now, where Teofimo goes up in weight and fights at 160 against Canelo. That's how delusional his dad is, bro. That's how delusional.
Well, think about this, guys. After getting his first knockdown, right? After it was clear that everybody with a pay grade above casual knew he needed to come in behind his jab, right? Come in fucking box. What does his brilliant old man say? The exact quote was, it was great. He comes back and goes, "Fuck this motherfucker up already. You too strong for him. What the fuck are you doing?" Really? Yeah. That was what he fucking said. Yeah, total disaster. Instead of splashing water in his face and then quietly have him look in your eyes, make sure you get his attention and tell him, "What are you doing? Jab. Come in, box. Do you know what I mean? You got to hide your punches. You're telegraphing him. He's seeing them coming. He's just you give him that 1/2 an inch, a second to back off him, and you're catching him at the end of your punches instead of halfway through the punch when you're supposed to."
Well, let me ask you this too as well, because I know some people are going to say we're nitpicking, but not only that, Jimmy, with those type of... I remember when Tyson was getting schooled by Holyfield, I think one of the second assist told him, "Come on, Mike, hit harder." And this reminded me of that type of advice, hit harder.
They didn't even have the end swell on him. They didn't even start putting the end swell on the kid until the fucking 5th round. The whole corner was a disaster.
Yeah, I'm not nitpicking. I'm just not trying to just to state the obvious. I mean, how much can you explain how the sky is blue? It's blue. Right. The fucking corner was a fucking disaster. He was completely not even watching the same. He was completely not doing his job on a level that he was as delusional as anybody. I mean, he was as delusional as any fucking fan could be. Mm-hmm. And he's supposed to. I got no problem with Tio trying to go for it in the first round. Weren't you surprised? I was surprised that he went forward that aggressive. I was surprised that Tyson Fury did that to Deontay Wilder. It's just not his style.
I want to recognize something, because I remember he used to say, and this was recognized. Are you there, by the way? Because I don't want to ask a question and he's not there.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Remember when we were talking a while? This was before the Lomachenko fight, the Lopez Lomachenko, and I think it was you that said that Loma was gonna break him. Now, of course,
that's what I did.
Yeah, it didn't happen, but it sort of did. In a facsimile of it did, where we saw that once Lomachenko turned it on, Lopez really didn't have that many answers. Now, in hindsight, the fact that he had a hard time with Nakatani and said, "No more tall guys." The fact that he skewered so much from a rematch with Lomachenko. And now after this legitimate loss saying, "I don't want to rematch it." Do you think you were right in a certain way that this guy mentally is not all there?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it didn't happen in the Lomachenko fight, but it happened towards the end where he got totally outclassed. And like you said, he was snapping his head back. It just makes you wonder if Lomachenko would have been able to do something in the, hit him with meaningful shots that hurt and trying to break him down early. He probably, I don't want to say he knocks him out, but he might stop him, or he just might whitewash him, right? Like just beat him up for the second half, even worse than he did when they fought. Mm-hmm. But it goes to show you that this guy is not as good as people made him out to be. Look, he got lucky with the Lomachenko fight. He got lucky, and some of it had to do with him also. You got to give him credit for not making a lot of mistakes. Then again, Lomachenko didn't force him to do any mistakes early in the fight. He did it in the second half, and he was strong enough to survive, the second half of the fight. But when it comes to this guy being a pound-for-pound fighter because he beat Lomachenko, I never saw that. I never, ever saw that in my mind. And people would say, well, then you must not view Lomachenko high. No. Lomachenko is fighting guys bigger than him. This guy is losing to guys, okay, Kambosos is a little bit taller, but he's slimmer. Kambosos, he looks somewhere around maybe 145 in that ring, where this guy is probably 10 pounds heavier of muscle, and he's getting outboxed. He's like, he's getting dropped because he's got his chin up in the air. He's coming in a straight line, no fucking head movement. Does that sound like a pound for pound great fighter? Like, there's got to be something mentally as well as, obviously that you have physical capabilities to be a boxer, to go 12 rounds, to have that kind of shape. There's more to that.
I don't want to mention. Yeah.
There's more to that than just if you want to be considered a great pound for pound fighter. And I do kind of feel vindicated. I mean, whatever that means. The guy is like, he got exposed, bro. He got exposed for being a limited fighter. And I think he could change that. But I don't think he has the mental makeup to change that.
Huh. This past year took a toll on him. Just coming to the realization that the people that he's got in a particular job that are there to help him, his management with this fucking purse bid fiasco, and his trainer, he's coming to the realization over the past year. You could see it in his face, in his demeanor. It's like when Keith Thurman kind of like went off the rails there for like a year and a half, 2 years. It's just, he's putting on weight. He looks like shit. He looks like he's, and to what Redick and I said, listen, it's, you play the cards you're dealt. So if you're dealt a winning hand in the Lomachenko fight, for whatever fucking reason, he still won that fight. But all this pound for pound, fucking takeover bullshit, just the talk of it, that's what was hype, and he knew it. He wasn't sure about what he was saying, and Kambosos was mentally. I don't know, whether or not any of us actually believed it was going to happen or not. Kambosos fucking believed it. That's one thing you can see in the guy's talk.
That's what I'm saying too. Like Steve Kim said, like we're talking about everything that Lopez had to go through, but Kambosos had to go through the same thing, if not worse. So, the fact that he was able to overcome that and beat a bigger guy who was supposed to be better as well, it just goes to show you, like, to your point, Pete, maybe he does need to get his mental state together and maybe change a couple of things in training camp, because what happened here shouldn't have happened on paper. Anyway.
He's 23 years old.
20, yeah, I'm going to say 23, yeah.
I mean, listen, he's not a kid in terms of his career. He's about middle, he's about the midline of his career, even though he's only 23 years old. But
24, apparently.
You got to believe in redemption, or else you're always stuck at your lowest level.
That's true.
You're always pegged to your biggest mistake if you don't believe in redemption, right? Mm-hmm. So take stock of it. Just shut your, listen. Every excuse that you can throw at this thing, he made his own decision. They put himself in all these positions, and that, or there's nothing to them. This 135 shit, who's been draining you? You've been fighting at 135 because you're winning fights at 135. You're draining yourself. No one drained you. No one brought you down to their weight. You chose to stay there. And every time you said you wanted to move up, a year later you're fighting at 135, and you're going to fight Haney after this and all this bullshit. You'll fight at 135. 140 is not going to fix any of this. But the point is that I didn't see anything last night that had anything to do with his gas tank. If you go crazy in the first 3 rounds, 4 and 5 and 6 are going to look fucking slow. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see anything that indicated that
he looked mentally exhausted.
He was mentally fucked up and alone in there. Alone.
Look, whenever you beat a fighter that is top tier, whether it's like Canelo, let's say someone beats Canelo, you can never put that guy automatically in the pound for pound list. I never do that. I need at least 3 more fights where he proves himself. Like Alito Alvarez knocked out Kovalev. I didn't put him anywhere there. Neither have put Teofimo after he beat Loma. It takes a few more fights. Neither Kambosos. Kambosos, he needs to prove himself before he even gets in the top 10. Exactly. Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. For sure, bro.
Pound for pound list doesn't pay your bills, though. This guy just needed somebody to tell him what he couldn't see from himself. I'm talking about just last night in that fight.
Yeah, we're talking about pound for pound. At one point, that's why I mentioned that. And him with Lomachenko, he got lucky because Lomachenko, I thought it was bullshit when he first talked about his shoulder. And then when he said he threw a jab with his right hand and he felt his shoulder fucking cramp up, and after that he wasn't too sure to throw anything for 7 fucking rounds, I believe
Which
it because
round?
you could see it out there.
Which round was that in? Where he second?
He says it. Yeah, he says in the second round he threw a jab, and he couldn't do anything after that because everything he throws is off the jab, and usually that's.
And the other half is the other day. You're not going to miss that one day. So yeah, of course he felt pressure to get in there and not reschedule a fight because you don't take the day off if you just show up for work twice a year for your entire salary. So all I'm saying to you is that Teofimo played the cards that he was dealt that night, and he won that fight. The point is, all this extra talk in the last year, the over and above, just I won, let's move on. That was bullshit, and he knew it. On some level, he knew it. Okay, so last night, and all not for treading water. It wasn't like he was out for a year, like treading water. He was bleeding money for a year. You get married and have a kid, that's fucking expensive. And this $7 million, $6 million offer from Triller that check never fucking got cashed. So yeah, coming into last night, what you saw was like the cards being dealt. And a lot of them he asked for them. He asked for most of it. And he was alone in there with nobody. Shit. When Teo got cut up in the 10th round, and the cut man had to work on him, his fucking dad didn't even let the cut man get in the ring. He got in the fucking ring and didn't even put the stool in there. He had to stand there in the corner after getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, as soon as he got caught.
He had to stand in the corner and get worked on him. What the fuck? Man?
As soon as he got caught, and he goes to the corner, he's talking to him, blah, 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 blah. And then a good 20 seconds passes, and then he puts the towel on and starts working on the cut. It was just, it was a little bit pandemonium in there. And
I think the cut man actually complained too. Didn't he actually say, let me get in there, Adam? Like kind of told his old man to get out of my way.
Sure he did.
I'm going to rewatch that fight. Yeah. As soon as we end this, I'm going to rewatch it. But man, listen, the amount of upsets we've had this year, and Jimmy, you've been watching it longer than I have. I can't recall a year when we've had, 2001 it was quality upsets over quantity, but this one it's quantity and quality. Lara versus Warrington, Valdez versus Burchelt, Lee Wood beating Zucan, Ugas beating Pacquiao, Usyk beating Joshua, Yabuki beating Tejari.
Usyk versus Joshua was not an upset.
I know, but for some people,
it was Vegas wise,
right? Exactly. So
that's usually what it is.
I got you.
I mean, it's incredible. What's in the water?
But this one was probably the worst for sure because of all the other things. Like Pacquiao's an upset, but again, he's fucking 43 years old.
Yeah.
So it's only so much of an upset. But this was two guys. I mean, how old is Kambosos? 30 tops. I mean, he's not that old.
He's close to 30.
Yeah, so these guys in their physical prime. So yeah, for all things considered, the fact that it was a mandatory, those are the things you're supposed to blow away. You know what I mean? That's what Triple G always got because he wanted to keep his belt. He fought his mandatories and caught holy hell from fans for it every time. But he took care of them like they were mandatories. He put them away.
Dude, I
think also the fact that it went to like an uninterested promoter, not uninterested. It went to a kind of a neutral promoter, just the way the purse bid worked out. I think just like Recognize said, man, it was just it was as fair as it can be on the promotion end. The judge that had it 14-13 for Teo, that mathematically can't even fucking happen. I don't even understand. I didn't see the cards yet, but that's a draw with a penalty, with a 1 point deduction to Kambosos for getting knocked down. That's an even fight with minus 1 point.
I think the reason why, I don't understand why he did this, and I might be wrong, but I think he scored the round that should have been a 10-8 round. I mean, you don't always have to do a 10 or 8 round. Say if the guy beats you the whole round soundly, but you land one punch and drop him, and they instead of going 10-8, they'll go 10-9. But that's not what happened either. But I'm pretty sure, I'm going to have to go back and look, but I think he scored that round a 10-9 instead of a 10-8.
Well,
and that's a 9-9 round. There's no 10-point must. That's a 9-9 then.
It benefited the Kambosos to have matchroom boxing backing his ass up. If it wasn't for matchroom boxing, he might have got fucked over.
Well, if it was in New York City too, now Steve just informed me on something that, listen, who's one of the most connected guys in New York? And that's Lou DiBella. So Kambosos, believe it or not, had some home cooking there too with Lou. We'll recognize obviously, but he's with us. But DiBella, you know what I mean? He's New York and he's Kambosos' guy. But Lopez is from Brooklyn. But who knows if he's connected?
But he was. DiBella was there he was watching that fight. He was a guest there. Bob Arum could have been there too. He just didn't. He was all.
No, what I meant is if he had any connection to the judges. I was just being conspiracist. I'm just saying he's connected to New York. That's all I meant. Like he could have been connected to the judge. That's it.
Well, let's look at the scorecards here.
Judge Don Trella, I'm telling you, he just fucking fucked up his scorecard, his math. Even if he thought Tia was winning that first round, but then got knocked down, you fucking give him 10-9, you give him 10 points, and you give Kambosos 9, and then you deduct a point from Tio for getting knocked down. That's 9-9. That doesn't add up to 114.
Well,
That's
I'm looking
up.
at the scorecard.
Don Trella did.
I'm sharing the
sorry.
scorecard here, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but it does say Don Trella's scorecard. He gave the first round 10 to Kambosos, 9 to Lopez instead of 10-8.
See, it should have been a 10-8. That should have been a 10-8 round. And he only gave him a 10-9. So that means to Don Trella, that means that Teofimo was dominating that round so much that he couldn't give him the 2 points. He couldn't give him a 10-8, which is ridiculous. But I want to say, too, if I'm not mistaken, Don Trella definitely was the part of the Triple G Canelo 1. He gave a bogus card there. And I'm pretty sure he was also a part of the Kovalev Ward debacle. So this guy's notorious giving out bad cards.
I think he's the one that gave Canelo the 12th round against Triple G, the first fight. Or, no, it wasn't the 12th. I think it was one round where it was clearly Golovkin won it. And I think it was Don Trella, that gave that round.
In the broad, too. In the fucking, what's his name's wife, the referee's wife, the Adderley Bird.
Oh, yeah.
This fight, you know how this fight is so fucked up is because the reason why Kambosos got this, and it was a split decision victory, because he was a wide margin victory. If it was a little bit that way, a little bit the other way, he would have lost it. Just a little bit. If he had lost, let's say, 4 rounds. But he only lost 1. If you watch it carefully, 1. The 10th round. He practically, you see it in Lopez's face. It's like a bruised banana, bro. That motherfucker is fucked up. I don't know if his brain is working properly at this point because when he started talking about winning, like that. Yeah, like he's scrambled eggs right now, bro.
His brain is gone, right?
His nose is broken, bro. Like everything, he beat him up so bad. Like same thing with Michael Bay, bro. Michael Bay only won 2 rounds against this dude, and they gave it a split decision. You know why? Because he's fighting overseas. He's like,
and Mickey Bay, and Mickey Bay too. That was another.
The thing about it is, whatever. Yeah.
The thing about it is, up until this point, you look at Tio and you go, man, he's a fucking kid. He's got a fucking manager who I don't know what, he's just taking a shot. Like Steve Kim said, it's just if it's too good to be true, what are you doing, man? Like you just get off. It was worth the shot. The bid was fucked up, but you're hanging on to you're hanging on to this mirage that's never going to appear. And then you look at his dad, and it's his dad. I mean, it's his dad. He's been there the whole time he's been boxing. So you only know what you know. So you don't know any better. But then after the fight, he pulled that Broner shit. He jumps into the interview and fucking, I won this fight, this and that. Kambosos like, look at your face. I mean, he's right. He had a fucking plum. He had a fucking plum on his eye where that right hand could not miss. So I don't know what that was all about.
Did you hear the crowd in New York?
Oh, they turned up. They came down on him, man. They came down on him like rightfully so, right?
And I think
that said it all right there. Recognize absolutely.
And
that's the one thing I love about New Yorkers. They don't give that. They don't play that shit with that's my hometown boy, so I'm gonna fake it till we make it. That type of thing. They're gonna be like, nah, you suck, bro. You lost.
Well, you know what? Not for nothing, but Mexicans either. I mean, real boxing fans will not suck too much dick, because I remember when Chavez struggled against and should have lost against Brandon Vera or Brian Vera, and the Mexicans were booing him. And he's like, no, yo gané. And people were booing the shit out of him. It's like, nah, man, shit, fuck you lust.
They came down on Canelo. After that first, when he said he won 7-8 rounds. Fase. Fucking the place unloaded on his ass. Like, what are you talking about, man? You won 8 rounds. No one won 8 rounds. You crazy or what?
Right.
In New York, it wasn't like the crowd was cheering for fucking Kambosos at the end. They were like, yeah, spattering. Okay, you won. But again, you're right. They took offense to all of a sudden him coming in the ring. I won this shit. You all know that. And they were like, all right, dude, now you're monkeying the kid. You know what I mean? It was shocking.
That kid Kambosos is personality. He's equal, if not worse, than Teofimo. And what I mean by that,
with the Emperor shit.
Yeah, because I speak to somebody. You guys probably know him, Jed Kyle, who's from Australia, and he talks about people like Kambosos, how the tats and everything, the Greek shit and all that they're like real assholes. So he has that personality, that street guy mentality, but just out there,
Right.
The way he spoke though in the post fight, it was all class, man. He sounded like a true gentleman, like a warrior, man.
Listen, he's happy. He's elated for his win, so there's nothing wrong. I mean, Tio's doing backflips after he beat Loma, fucking flailing around, falling on the ring. So I get it, but they're the 4 kings, but I'm the emperor. What are you talking about, right?
Pete, there was
Matrix, a video. Matrix. Canelo calls himself the king, so is Ryan Garcia. So I mean, it's just like an ego thing, bro.
Yeah,
that's all it is at the end of the day.
They got huge.
I'm happy broke into the interview. Behave that way because that's the attitude you needed to beat that guy.
That's right.
I'm surprised Canelo let himself get on that show with Faitelson, who's always busting his balls, and man, he put him to the grill in that show. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to that another episode, but I wanted to say something real quick about Kambosos. Yeah, like Gonzalo said, all class, man. All class, and somebody said, well, it's because he won, but I mean, hey, some people can be sour winners as well. And I also want to say something. I forget the name. There was this dude on YouTube. He put a video where he goes, as soon as the fight ended, Lopez's father and Kambosos' father, they had their arms around each other and they were looking at the cameras like, it's all business, baby. It's all, or something like that they were saying. This guy, he takes the photograph of Lopez Sr. He looks like he's wasted most of the time. And he's looking at the camera, and the guy in the video puts, drunk Teofimo Lopez celebrates after his son loses. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. The decision hadn't been announced yet, but he makes it sound as if Lopez lost and this guy's out celebrating with the whole fucking drunk.
Yeah, so that was pre-decision. I was going to ask you that. I saw that clip. That was so that was in between. That was after the fight, but before the decision was announced?
Exactly, yeah.
And he had his fucking... You know when someone gets too drunk and they fucking grab your neck with the inside the crook of their elbow and they're like, yeah!
I do it all the time.
Yeah, the trainer, Kambosos' dad had to turn around and stop him. Like, all right, man, all right, back up.
Oh no,
calm down.
Hey, I called Teofimo Lopez a hype job. He's a hype job in the sense of what he's trying to say he is. He's not really a hype job in the sense of as a good boxer, great boxer in a way. It's just he's slow a little bit compared to the elite guys. He's not like that. But based on what Kambosos did to him, I had trouble seeing him moving up to 140 and beating the lights of Prograis. I don't think that happens. Or Ramirez or even Taylor. All 3 of those guys beat the shit out of him. But the thing is, though, if he had won this fight, maybe that'd give him confidence enough. And, if he had moved up and if he fought Haney, and that would have given him even more confidence. Like, the more wins you have, the more confident you are. So he moves up and he might have had a better shot. Now he has 0 shot. All 3 of those dudes destroy him. All of them.
Oh, all right. Well, that's
know what?
He only...
Zepeda too. Did I forget Zepeda? Zepeda fucks him up too.
I was listening earlier, and he can't really change up his style a whole hell of a lot. Why? Because he's a counter puncher. Because he's probably guarding that chin. He got to catch the punches. He can't just go in there and pressure because he probably get knocked out. I think he's got a suspect chin.
I mean, Gonzalo, you're right. He went for it in the first round, had some success. He then got clipped. He ran into a punch. and he put all of his weight and ran into a punch getting thrown at you full speed. So it's all of his energy going forward, and then catching a right hand counter punch set him on his ass. From there on out, I don't understand what the fucking emergency was from there on out. I mean, I know your dad's screaming at you, get him out of there, get him out of there.
Did you see he got buckled like around the 10th after he had dropped Kambosos?
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, he gets staggered. The commentator said, "Oh, I think it was Mora." He said, "Oh, he's stunned," but it's just Kambosos didn't really have the fuel to capitalize on it. Hey, speaking of partying, just like
he's talking about Gonzalez talking about Tio got
that's what I'm
buckled.
saying. Yeah, but that's
Tio
what I'm saying.
got
But Kambosos Kambosos didn't have the fuel to. At that point, he was a little worn out. But I want to talk about the party lifestyle. We got Chief dropping by. Chief, are you there?
Good evening.
Good evening. Right back at you, man. What are your thoughts on belated thoughts on the fight? If you saw it, I don't even know if you saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. Belated Thanksgiving to everybody.
You?
Same to you, man.
Thank you. What did this tell us about Tio that we may not have known?
Yeah.
I mean, he got one good fight against Lopez. That Asian guy that Loma beat, he struggled life and death with. He knocks out Comey. He takes a year off, and he loses to a person that most of us on this panel thought he was going to beat handily. At least I did. At least I did 6 months ago. But, I mean, it's taken almost a year to make this fight, and I believe him that he was struggling making weight. I believed it before that. I don't know if that meant that he was going to be that one-dimensional and predictable. I think that has to do as much as poor preparation, as much as possibly not having all the skills to go with it. Like Gonzalez said, he's a counterpuncher. He doesn't throw a lot of punches. He kind of fights like Danny Garcia. And when that's your stable, look what Danny did after he left 140. He tried to counter his way through Spence, through Thurman, and through Porter, and he failed in all three of them. Now, refer that back over to... Now, some people thought he might have won some of those fights. Maybe. Might have winning. It counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. You didn't win. Now, what's that going to do when he moves up in weight against bigger guys that can take his punches?
Excellent point.
And all he's going to do is counterpunch with a couple power shots here and there. His activity is not going to be enough to keep up with some of those guys, especially as they're able to take his punches. I'm not saying he's overrated per se as a whole, but I think that they're not adding any more to his game, and he's going to have to add more to his game as he moves up in weight.
Well, 24 years old. There's hope for him yet, but he has
not
to...
with his father, the trainer. No,
I agree with Chief. Not with his father.
No,
That's not going to work out.
Let me finish real quick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, go for it.
Danny Garcia would have been a better fighter if someone could have taken him after he first won his first world title, after he climbed over that Eric Morales hump. If somebody else would have come in and said, Danny Sr. or whatever his name is, you did a great job, let me take it from here, and a competent trader would take over, Danny might have had enough to his game to have pulled off some of those wins that some people thought he might have won. Same thing with Lopez. You say he's 24. If someone else comes in to add more to his game, but his dad's not going to add any more to his game. If someone would have grabbed Sean Porter earlier and said, you're a good pressure fighter, let me add a few more things to your stuff and let Kenny step aside, Sean might have won some of those close fights that some people thought that he did win. But dads sometimes get in the way. Dads can sometimes only take you to a peak. Sometimes you need another trainer.
And especially his character. If you got somebody nagging to you all day, later you're not paying attention. It's like my wife, she listened to me shout out daddy like this. After a while, they're not listening.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Gonzalo. I've been there.
And they know it too, right?
Yeah.
But check this out though. To what Chief is saying, right? I honestly, I think Teofimo knows just to fucking just roll his eye, man. He just like nods he just lets his dad fucking steam off. You know what I mean? He doesn't.
What that's about, man. I could tell you. Look, there's something about that personality type. And Kenny Porter has it, but in a more, it's different. They raise their kids to worship the ground they walk on. That's why when they get older, they have so much respect for them. So it starts as a kid. Daddy, the minute daddy comes home, he's the fucking man. He's everything. As they get older, they don't show that kind of affection, but they're loyal like you wouldn't believe. You know, they'll
In terms of
die.
boxing, they come on this journey together, right?
Huh?
But in terms of boxing, they've come this far together. But the difference with Kenny Porter and the difference with Kenny Porter, though, is I get the feeling that he is more of a student. In other words,
right? He has a different personality compared to those guys. He looks a little bit more militant than they are. You know, he lives that life. He's in good shape and stuff like that. It's a bit different. He's focused, right?
Takes his job a little more serious. You know, Tio's dad is just hollering and screaming. The problem with a guy like that in your corner is when you're actually doing something, playing. It's a sport. It's a game. I'm going to say when you're in a sport, it is a sport. When you're physically doing something, sometimes you can't see what you cannot put into. You have no context as far as what's going on in that ring. He might not have been able to tell that he is leaning his head after he throws a right hand. He's hanging his head fucking a foot in front of his front foot and just asking to get hit with a right hand. He's diving into a right hand. So unless you have a guy that you trust and that actually is watching out for this stuff to tell you that in the corner, you'll never know it until you have to go back and watch it on film. If you ever do go back and watch it on it's like they can tell you a million times. Sometimes you still got to see it on film. Well, when the guy all over the corner, he's screaming at you to do it more. He's encouraging you to do it more. I mean, what the fuck, man?
Look, Pete. At the end of the day, we're going.
How much did this suck? He said, we're gonna knock him out in the first round." But when that doesn't happen and you get dropped, but then the fight goes the distance and you're in deep waters, what's going through your mind?
Exactly.
I'm alone out here.
And here's the other thing. At the end of the day, I think other people had said that he wasn't giving the best. I think even somebody said, I think somebody mentioned that there weren't many microphones in the broadcast for the Loma Lopez fight. In other words, there were no microphones in Lopez's corner. But I remember somebody had said one time that they'd heard that Teofimo Lopez Sr. had told his son, just coast this round, as opposed to fight. And Lopez Jr. apparently ended up having to fight. So maybe it's true that at that point, people started questioning, well, maybe this guy's not that good. Not for nothing, too. When you watch sparring footage, and I know it's just sparring, but all you hear is Teofimo Lopez Sr., beautiful right hand, beautiful left foot. And that's all he keeps saying. And then when he's in the corner, you can't really hear what they're saying because they're whispering, but I can't imagine it being anything much more different than what we saw, or heard rather, on Saturday in the corner.
I heard that, BDA. What you said, I heard. The coasting part, I heard that.
Huh.
And the reason why he always says, fucking his son's so great at this, so great at that. I don't think his father's a boxing head. I don't think he actually even, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's just his son. He doesn't even know really. He's like almost a sycophant to his kid. And the difference between Kenny Porter and him, Kenny Porter drove 40 miles a day one way to a job so he could buy a better house in a better neighborhood, put his kid in school and did well in school, was a high school athlete. And he's, you know what I mean? Whereas Lopez was getting arrested all the time. He was still fucking slinging, and he raised his kid in Brooklyn. Totally different characters. I have much more respect for Porter when it comes to that. But that was side note.
No, but it's a very fair point when we're making a justification between the different dads. I mean, was it not Russell? Shane Mosley's father. I don't remember his name.
Jack Mosley.
But he was a Jack. Very good. Jack
Mr. Mosley.
Yeah, very good. Mr. Mosley was apparently a good guy also, but he wasn't a boxing head either. The difference was he learned as he went, and I think Kenny Porter did too. Danny Garcia's dad, apparently he seems to know a little bit about boxing because he kept saying, especially after the Spence fight, he said, "I told you what to do. You didn't do it. You should let your hands go more because you were in the fight the whole time and you lost 8 rounds to 4 because you didn't let your hands go," which was the truth. That's exactly what happened. I'm sorry. I'll let you go because I interrupted you last time. Go ahead.
It's all good, but the worst father and son combination right now is Teofimo Lopez's father and him.
Yeah. Well, actually, but can I say something?
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick? Can I say something?
Yeah.
Let's be fair. I mean, he did they got to a good point in boxing. It's not like anybody can beat Lomachenko. Say what you want about Loma's injury or whatever. Let's not paint the picture as if there's, because it might sound like we're saying this guy's a mess. Look, they did very well for themselves. It's just that they hit a critical point here where they could make the adjustments and it cost them big. But is it really that much? Is he really that bad a trainer? Is it really that bad a team?
I think so.
Let's look at
bad.
it like this. Is it the fact that the dad rode off the back of his son's athleticism, who was gifted, and did nothing more than make sure he worked out and stayed in shape and gave him no advice or really tips on how to be a better fighter? And he was successful based off of that. Now he can't go any further? Because the other fighters we mentioned studied the game and added stuff to their son's game to an extent. They probably could have gone further, like I said, with maybe an old school Don Turner or somebody, or a modern day Don Turner or somebody like that that knows that's done nothing but boxing. But they added more stuff to their son's games, and some of them knew when to step aside. All we're getting from Tio's dad is everything's great. My son's the greatest. And when you hear him in the corner, coast this round, which is the only thing we got to go by in the corners because they whisper a lot. But aside from that, everything is just like last night. All I heard was how great he thought his son was doing each round. Your son's a bloody mess in the 11th round. He's not winning. Why don't you tell him to go knock him out? Why don't you give him a strategy to knock him out? You're the cornerman. You're the chief second. You better have a strategy because he's lost. That's your job.
Danny Garcia's father is nothing like that. If his ass is getting really beat up like what we watched yesterday, there's no way Danny Garcia's dad's going to be talking like that, man. Or even Sean Porter's guy. There's no way.
Very good points. Very good points.
Yeah, Angel is more.
That's totally correct. This guy's just a distraction. He's just like a guy that you just tell to get out of the gym because he's just fucking around and screaming.
Like Jimmy said, he's the kind of guy that'll start a fight at a fucking funeral.
Yeah, maybe, but
I just remembered something, and I'm just gonna mention it now. It's like with counter punchers nowadays. They're like that because they got power and they don't want to risk a lot because maybe their chin is not that great, but they're gonna wait till you make a mistake. But sometimes there's also fighters that cannot let their hands go. Like I remember, like Chavez's son, Omar Chavez. He's a pretty strong guy, but he was never anything. He didn't amount to anything because he couldn't let his hands go. It's like something about them. They cannot unfreeze their. Sometimes Chavez also that happens to him. It's not that they're counter punchers; they just cannot let their hands go if they get into that gear.
Well, Gonzo, a lot of times counter punchers are waiting for that opening because instead of trying to set it up, and if they're sole counter punchers, if that's over 50% of their game, they're looking for 12 rounds for that opening. Not thinking that one punch is necessarily going to knock the other guy out, but they're only looking for those key shots to turn the fight around with. That's what cost Marquez in some of his fights against Chris John and Freddie Norwood. Is because he was just looking for that opening, and they just outworked him. They both outworked him. As great as Marquez is, and I love him, those were legitimate losses.
The trait of a good trainer. The trait of a good trainer is when he starts realizing what his fight is good at. And once he realizes what his fighter's good at, he starts to try to add to that, okay? Not just stay on that one thing. In the case that you fight, you're fighting a guy that he's going to be onto what you're good at, so you got to do like multiple things. You can't just look at your son and say, well, you're in great shape. There's a lot of dudes in great shape that box, man. I mean, like they may not look like everybody doesn't look equally the same, but there'll be like a long, slim guy that doesn't have definition. He's just as good a shape as your fucking Diesel son.
Exactly. Those sleep bills like James Toney and Felix Trinidad, they don't look like they can knock you out, but boy, when they finally touch you.
Exactly, man. Yeah, it's don't go by. This ain't a bodybuilding contest. Hey, by the way, shout out to that guy in the chat. That guy who says, the super chat. You guys think Haney's father will look at this and think differently at being in the corner for an undisputed fight?
No.
Let's hope Dave and Haney doesn't duck, because when these guys were talking about fighting each other, I bet you on both sides there was some duckery going on.
Yeah,
100%. Both sides. Yeah,
Haney's style would be a much better match for Kambosos. He will box. Kambosos is not a pressure fighter, and that's.
You sure about that? You sure about that, Pete? Because he's a front foot fighter. He's not a back foot fighter. I can tell you that much. He does not. The only reason why he's on his back foot is because Lopez hits a bit harder than he does. That's the only reason. Just like Canelo.
That's a good point. That is the kind of a good point.
When he sat down and hooked off with Teofimo Lopez, he got in big trouble. And Teofimo
he didn't,
Lopez,
bro. He got
to his
hit
credit,
and he rocked him. Did you see how he dropped him the first round?
to his credit, Teofimo Lopez's lead right hand was landing. All right, so it's just not Tio's style. His corner's telling him to do something that I have no problem with the first round leading off like that. You're catching him by surprise. Teofimo Lopez we're saying Marquez like a counterpuncher like Marquez. Marquez fucking studies this. He studies counter. I mean, he'll make you pay for exposing yourself. Matter of fact, Teofimo Lopez is a fucking he wants to trade. A guy like that, he is bigger, he is longer, he is stronger. He wants to trade with you. And like Chief said about Danny Garcia, once the book's out on that, right? Once the book's out that Amir Khan could have fucking won a unanimous decision against Danny Garcia, but he sat in there and traded with him, and he got clipped. You see it in the Peterson fight, Lamont Peterson. When you're moving around against Danny Garcia, just like when Loma's circling around against Teofimo Lopez, their feet are situated in the middle of the ring, just as wide as they always are, waiting for you to come to them. So
that surprises me about Danny Garcia. Why wouldn't he let his hands go more? Because he's got an iron chin. So you're already there. You can take a shot, place your shots. Put your shots together, and don't leave it on the table. And that's what makes Kambosos dangerous. He's got a good chin. It's not so much the power, he has the speed. Those two names.
Because he goes on his own pace. He goes by his own pace.
And your trainer's got a good chin too, guys. Who?
Teofimo's got a good chin too, guys. But you can't dive. You can't dive. Pacquiao had a good chin too, but you cannot dive with all of your weight straight forward and let somebody hit you in the opposite direction with a fucking full speed punch.
Why not?
It's going to be a problem.
If you stood there, I'm gonna tell you something. Give me 1 second. Sorry, bro. If you stood there with Kambosos, with Kambosos and traded, Kambosos would have the upper hand.
It's the only
reason why. The only reason because of the speed. The only reason why Kambosos backed up is to lure him in for shots. That's the only reason why.
And not smother himself.
Yeah,
he knew what his range was.
Necessarily.
Unlike
that's what you meant. You didn't mean trade punch for punch. You didn't mean like trade punch for punch.
No. Like go ahead, hit me. No. I'm talking about stay in the pocket and trade.
He was throwing him straighter. He was throwing him straighter.
Well, it's like Figueroa last night. It's like Figueroa last night. The first couple rounds against I can't remember the kid's name, but he was the aggressor. And when the other guy went to hold, he smothered himself somewhat. Kambosos took that half a step back a little bit. It was still in the pocket, but he'd give just enough room to where he could get some leverage on those shoe shiners to where he wasn't hitting cuff him with a glove. He was able to actually get real leverage on real punches. Weren't all overly effective. Didn't really hurt, not of them really hurt that badly. But sometimes this is the addition game. How many do I have to land? How many can you take before it's going to start to add up?
Exactly. Like, there's no need to get punished for no reason. I mean, he could have been there, right there, on his face the entire night. He chose to back up a little bit, move forward. He does that. This is his style. Like he's a counterpuncher. So is Teofimo Lopez. They're both counterpunchers. But the difference between these two is one has a lot more experience than the other, speed-wise. Also, more and more of a chin, and honestly, more confidence as well. Just
more experience. Gonzalo, let me say something real quick. More experience as a whole because he's been more rounds. Tio's got a lot of knockouts, and so
he does. Yeah, he
went 12 rounds with Loma. But I mean, how many times has he gone 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12? And this guy's, I don't know how many times he has either, but I guarantee he's seen the 8th round more times than Lopez has. Gonzo, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Well, with Teofimo, he's shown us that he sticks true to the counter punching style. But maybe Kambosos fought Teofimo the way he did because he's facing a counter puncher, so he himself wants to play tit for tat. But maybe he fights differently. I haven't seen the Selby fight, but maybe in other fights he fights differently. It's adjusting to your opponent as well, right?
The Shelby fight was practically beautiful, bro. Like I didn't even know who this kid was. That was the first fight I saw him. I was like, holy shit, this guy got skill. Like he has skill, bro. Like it's a different type. It's not Lomachenko type, but
let me ask you, Gypsy, because I'm curious. I'm going to ask you because I wasn't as impressed by that. I watched that fight too, And I just don't rate Selby. I don't think he's that good at all. He's domestic level talent at best. And I didn't see anything that made me say, "Oh, this kid will beat Lopez." From that, I'm saying, so if you were able to induce that he was going to beat Lopez off that, then props to you, because I didn't see it. In fact, I watched his other fight that he fought a kid, and again, yeah, he didn't look overly impressive in anything. But you know what I mean? Props to him for beating
Jimmy. It's not that I rate Shelby at like some kind of high level. No. He's got
who's Shelby?
skill.
You don't even know his name.
Who's Shelby?
You haven't given him that respect.
He's talking about Lee Selby, who used to be.
Selby.
Oh,
Selby. Selby. My bad.
It's a Mustang. It's a Mustang Shelby. It's a car.
That's pretty much what that is, bro. Selby. Yeah, probably close enough. That's probably why they named the car off of it. Anyways, his level is pretty decent. It's not elite like Selby's level is not elite, but what he did to him was pretty impressive.
Right.
Like if he survived against Kambosos, that's the only way he made it 12 rounds. He survived. He was running around trying to not stay in the pocket or stand in front of him for too long, and he was still getting his ass beat up. He was still getting fucked up every moment he thought he had something. He threw something.
Fast feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's very
somebody
quick,
asked the
man.
question. I'm sorry, BDA, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying he's just repeating that he's very quick.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Someone asked.
Sorry.
No, I mean, someone asked earlier what I thought they asked, and we never really moved forward with this. Where we think Kambosos will do with Devin Haney if that fight is next, because he gets to make his own shots from here, from what I understand. What do people think about that one?
Well, we already touched up a little bit on that before. And
good fight.
I'm sorry, I wasn't late. I was detained elsewhere. I didn't get all that.
Chief, I think he walks him down, kind of like he did to Selby. A little more difficult of a fight because Haney's better in skills than obviously than Selby, but he walks him down, and he probably even stops him in the later rounds if Haney, because Haney can survive. If Haney doesn't like play the survival game for too long, or I
I'm
prefer
being a little biased here. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna be a little biased, only because I want to see a really good fight. I'm hoping Kambosos says, "I want my next fight in Australia," and the only guy that would take that, in my opinion, until proven otherwise, is Lomachenko.
Yep,
that would be a fucking good fight, man. I think
because he travels.
I think Loma beats him, but it's going to be tough. Remember, the guy just won the biggest fight of his career, and then he's going back to his country. And then this is all assuming Lomachenko beats Comey. I don't want to talk about Comey like he doesn't have, he has zero shot to beat him.
Exactly.
I think he has a puncher's chance, to win that fight. But
Comey's dangerous, man. He's
it's a 0.0001% chance, right? That's what we're looking at.
Comey's a broad-shouldered.
Go ahead, BDA.
I thought Jimmy was going to say something.
Oh, no. I was asking what you were saying. Oh, by the way, Gypsy, the Mustang, is named after Carroll. Weird name for a guy, right? Carroll Shelby. It was a fucking racer. But anyways.
Well, like Dana White.
Let me ask you guys a question real quick. Do you see now why there was some hesitant from Teofimo wanting to fight, like give a rematch to Loma and making these weird demands to fight Josh Taylor? Are you seeing like?
Yep. That's why I asked you. That's why I asked you to recognize the Nakatani fight. Okay, he's the legitimate prospect, or he's the coveted prospect. Yes. He can call the shots. He gets past that difficult fight. Okay, he doesn't have to give him a rematch if he doesn't want to. That's the business of the nature of the business. But he says no more tall fighters. Then he struggles with Lomachenko, no rematch. Now this fight he loses it, no rematch. So I mean, there's a pattern there, man. Yeah, it's a guy that doesn't.
It's a pattern, and you know something? He might have skipped a part of his career. So, like you said, he was like legitimately a prospect when he fought Nakatani, and he went from that to instead of contender status, he went to champion status.
Right,
and that's what all these lightweights have done, though, pretty much with the exception of Ryan, because he still hasn't won a belt yet. But Devin Haney really kind of missed the contender status because he went straight from prospect to a title. I mean, he turned pro at 17. Right at 19, everyone's starting to look at him. By 20, he's got a belt.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's the problem with the sport today. I was going to say, that's 100% what's wrong with the sport, bro, right? There's too many contenders who have belts. You know, there's too many guys with belts that you still have answers on. You know what I mean? Questions
back
on.
in the day, you either were a contender that everybody knew you, or you had the NABF or USBA, and those were your fringe belts, your local belts that got you ranked. Aside from that, everybody knew who the contenders were. So those were, it was either you were ranked without those belts or you were ranked with them, one of the two. Now you have versions of the WBC and WBA. The IBF and WBO still don't have that kind of crap that I know of. But the WBC and WBA have the silver belt, the diamond belt, the platinum belt, the regular champion, the gold champion, the super champion, everything else. And that's how you become a contender these days. You grab up a belt,
secondaries,
which is supposed to make you a champion, but you know, that's what makes you a contender instead. Yeah. Anyway,
well, think about it. Hagler had 50 fights. Sorry, Gonzalo, go.
No, I apologize.
No, go, Gonzalo, go.
With Teofimo, it's kind of like the fires that burn the brightest die off the quickest. BDA mentioned Jermaine Taylor. I was thinking of like Danny Romero. Remember that guy too? But anyway,
No, well, Danny Romero kind of skipped that stage because he only had about 20-something fights before he got the title. And then he had trouble making weight, and he lost in a non-title fight. Moved up, destroyed Harold Gray. I thought he was really going to be a challenge for Johnny Tapie after watching that fight, but then they did a double header, and I started to realize the fact that Tapie just had too much in his repertoire. But anyway, those kind of guys, like Jimmy was saying, Hagler had over 50 fights, and so did Marlon Starling, because he had those two hiccups with Donald Curry, and that set him far enough back in the rankings that he had to wait all the way till the mid 80s to get a title shot against Mark Breland, but he made it count when he finally got it.
Well, to that point, brother, for time immemorial, the only way you were able to turn pro and get on a fast track to a belt, there was only one way to do it, no matter how good you were, was the Olympics. That's why everybody tried to get on the Olympic team back in the day.
Right.
I mean, that was almost a prerequisite, right? And so that's why the guys who didn't usually had 40, 50 fights before they even got a sniff at a championship. But there was also hundreds of thousands of more people participating in the sport back then that are today. Literally hundreds of thousands of more.
They also fought in their hometowns, and their hometowns had fights often, and they would fight at least once a month, if not a bit more. Like, look what the way they did Tyson was one of the, and I'll throw Klitschko in there too, Vladimir Klitschko. That was one of the last times they got guys and just said, you're going to stay out there for everyone to know who you are because you've already got the skill. We don't need to work on that part. We just need to get you out there so people, once we get you ranked, that's when we'll add more to your repertoire. We just need to keep you busy so that when you get in the ring, you have this resume that people go, wow, look at this. Look at this record.
To your point about those records, I mean, it's the modern factory of fighters. And I just got to say, Ryan Garcia, I know he's listening. He always listens to the show. You better spruce up there, buddy boy, because what happened to Teofimo Lopez last night is going to happen to you if you don't keep your big boy pants on and you still, you go to the beach banging a bunch of fat chicks. This is what's going to happen. These guys need to learn. Stay active. Yeah.
Take the dress off and put the jeans back on, bro. Come on.
Exactly. Now, with that being said, we do have to go. We've been on for
about 3
hours.
But once you put the dress on and you put the jeans, you're never the same, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Oh, you're talking from experience?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, want to hear something funny real quick? Like my boy Mickey, right? Mickey Ward. I remember he used to always complain. He never felt he fought enough when he first turned pro, right? In his first year, he fought 10 times.
Jeez.
And he was pissed off. He's like, man, I should have fought more. I should have fought 15, 16 times.
What?
So think about the mindset of back then to what it is today with these guys. It's just completely different.
To sum up real quick, the Olympics was on the other end of what did that, is because Mildred Taylor had 20-something fights. He was 17 years old. He was just turned 21, already getting a title shot. And it sped up a lot of people's careers. But then when we weren't getting guys on making medals anymore, they decided just to go ahead and think, this is a top prospect. We'll just throw him on TV. And now Heyman had a lot to do with that.
Well, there you go, man. Well, but we got to go. Gypsy, we got to go.
Before you guys leave,
We're living right
What's
now.
another fight you guys are interested in this year?
Oh, no, we'll talk about that next
Gervonta
episode,
Davis?
fellas. Please, next
No,
episode.
fuck that
Next
shit.
episode.
Fuck that
Next
shit.
episode.
I was gonna give
Bucho's got. BDA's
Okay.
got something to do. He told me he's got something to do, guys. So we got to let him do his ending.
Actually,
All right,
to that point, you can stay on the line and talk with each other. Recognize I got to ask you something before I go. But everyone else, thanks again for joining us, man. Pete, Recognize, Jimmy, Gypsy, thank you for dropping. Gypsy, Gypsy, I thought you partied too much last night, but this show got you back up, man. It's the cocaine of boxing podcast.
It's the cocaine, he says.
Shout out to...
I'm drinking that.
Shout out to Gonzalo.
Oh, my God.
Gonzalo, thank you for dropping by as well. I know it's kind of off-putting for you a little bit this early, but thank you for dropping by. Really appreciate it. Chief as well, thank you for dropping by, man. Always enjoyed listening to you.
Thank you, sir.
And
thank you for letting me be on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And shout out to everybody who donated the super chat, everybody that called in. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Rapax, Truax, shout out to Rapax, Official Scorecard Boxing. Check out the official's channel at the Coup d'etat Boxing. Check him out. Shout out to official. Uncle Brent Apostrophe, Brandon Lee, AJR, Vince Vegas, Norman Luis. Shout out to Norman. Not That Deep, British Titans, Iron Fist, Coco the Bulldog, John Robles. Who else? King, Ignacio Juarez, Iron Fist, Oscar Prince Boateng, and many more people. Guys, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.